putting their hands in there. I'm just saying someone may have indulged themselves in some kettle corn.
So if there was a breach,
yes,
you're out.
I'm out. I'm completely out.
Although you have given up on a half empty or full, depending on your how you see the world, half empty or half full bag of popcorn.
Yes,
you still got there was a lot.
There was a lot in there. Yeah, it was a good bit.
And now it's gone.
It's communal. I don't want to touch it. See, here's the thing with me. And Nick Frazier, he agrees with me. I think Connor does too. Maybe, I don't know. And I think Willy will. That I don't know what other people do with their hands. You know, people may go to the bathroom, don't wash their hands. They may dig in their nose. You know, people gotta scratch the butt. I don't know. I don't then want you to put your hands in the bag and eat some chips or whatever it is, and then think that just because it's mine, that then I am going to eat from it. Nope, I'm not doing it. That goes for anything. Peanuts in the store, at the restaurant. If they're just sitting there open and coming, I'm not touching those. Put them away. Let me see you pour a fresh batch out of a bag. Then I will eat it. But I am so bad. Y'all know this. A fly touch my food, I won't eat it.
See, I'm not that sensitive. I'm not that sensitive when it comes to food. But I think your scenario, leaving food behind, creates a lot of decisions for people. And I look at it from the other side. If I walk on and I see somebody neatly, like you talked about, rolling it up, sealed, so it's not like it's wide open.
Yeah, it wasn't wide open. Out. Yeah.
So I know that people took care of that. If I were hungry enough, would I grab that bag and start eating it?
I think you would.
You don't think so?
I think you would.
You think I would?
I think, especially if you.
I don't think I would unless I was really hungry.
That's what I'm saying. If you were really hungry, if it was like, just
I really like these.
See, Adam was caught in a situation like that. What, a month ago or 2 months ago, where you were so hungry and you just ate what was in the refrigerator?
The Monday after the conference championship games, which occurred at the same time as the ice storm that trapped y'all in your homes for like a week. I came into the studio to do the show with Parker Kelly and Brandon Bigsby, and I went to stop at McDonald's on my way here. It was closed. I got here. There was McDonald's in the break room, had to be at least day old, and I was so desperate, I ate some of an Egg McMuffin that had to be at least a day old.
See, in desperation.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Exactly.
It didn't feel good.
But normally.
But I did it. Because
you don't have a hard fast rule. You don't have a hard fast rule. I'm not touching anything that looks like it's been handled.
I'm not super particular about it.
Okay.
I mean, I know
think
people
different
that
things
aren't.
apply to different people.
Yeah.
I'll have you know, I go on the air immediately after you, and I noticed DMase left his popcorn, and I was hungry. I did not touch it because I thought DMase purchased that popcorn. He probably wants to indulge in that tomorrow when he gets here. So I didn't touch it.
Well, thank you.
Wrong.
Plus, I didn't wash my hands.
See, there you go. But I'm not accusing anyone of, and even if somebody did have some, I don't mind at all. It's not like if the bag was open, I'd have been screaming up and down the hallway, who touched my chip in my pop? No, I'd have just been like, okay, I'm not eating it now. It's cool with me. You can have some, indulge. I do bring them for people.
Okay, here's another dilemma that happens. Let's say you find a bag of chips, or some sort of food, and it's not opened. It hasn't been opened, but it's at the workplace, and you're thinking, did somebody at work leave these behind?
I won't eat them. I won't.
Would you grab them? No?
Nah.
Or would you think, hey, somebody's coming back. That could belong to somebody I know, and I don't want to be the guy that takes their food. They might come back.
If it was a couple of bags on there, then maybe I would take it. If it was like 4 or 5 bags.
One bag, though, you're not.
If one bag is there, no, I'm not going to take it. I'm not. Because like you said, it could be somebody's bag that is looking forward to it when they come to work. So it's like, my hand's off. I'm not touching it.
I have 2 very important questions.
Yes.
One for Connor and one for Willy. Connor Newt, did you go home and learn about Rick James?
I absolutely did.
Okay. Did you watch the Chappelle Show skit?
I watched both of them. I watched one with Rick James and I watched one with him as Prince.
Fabulous.
Yes.
So now I know.
Okay.
So you know the Rick James isms.
And I can repeat quite literally none of it on the air.
That is true. But we're proud of you for one admitting yesterday You had no idea who Rick James was, and then going home and rectifying it. So we're proud of you. Second question, Willy Donick, did your son survive his 21st birthday?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
It was a good night. But this is going to be, because the weekend is coming up, he's going to carry the celebration straight on through the weekend. So we're only one day down.
Did you go to a local establishment and have a beer together, father and son, for the first time?
We did.
Good.
Ooh.
And then he ventured out late into the night.
And then he said, see ya.
Right.
He tapped you out? You tapped out?
I tapped out. I tapped out. I'm trying to pace myself.
Did you tap out or did he bail on you?
I tapped out
Okay.
voluntarily. I feel like I'm going to be in and out of the picture throughout the weekend, but there's going to be a lot of entertainment.
Okay. That's good.
What kind of entertainment?
21-year-old entertainment.
Oh.
Going
Whatever
to a
that
bar,
consists of.
ordering beer. Or other things.
One texter says, Rexroad definitely had himself some of the popcorn, LOL. So now there's gout in the popcorn. So
Exactly.
Oh,
Now I don't want to
you were
touch
right.
it.
You were right not
Yeah.
to eat it. Chris says, off subject, DMase sounds like Jamie Foxx from the Ray Charles movie. Do you? I haven't
I
noticed
don't
that.
know. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Little Ray or Big Ray? Because the Ray Charles movie went through his whole life.
Get back to us, texter. Byron says, good friend from high school's little sister, middle school aged at the time, sitting on the couch with a bag of Doritos, eat 4 or 5, lick every finger clean, back to the bag, repeat.
See, that's why when my kids were small, I never ate after them. Never. Because what do kids do? Stick their hand in the bag, eat the chips, lick their fingers, wipe the shirt, then stick their hands back in there and they eat more. Don't want no part of it. You can have it.
Josh says, okay, well, let me ask you this. If one of you left a packed lunch in the fridge in the break room until the next day, is it free game for anyone else in the office? I ask because recently we had an office employee get fired for eating someone else's packed lunch. Fired.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
extreme.
That's extreme.
Don't fire unless you've done it multiple times.
Yeah, if you're eating somebody's lunch every day, then you got a problem. But if it happened one time, that's extreme.
I'm still not eating someone. If I see it packed, I'm just not eating food out of the refrigerator, like at work, period. Especially because I know I didn't put it in there unless, Chase or somebody comes in and say, hey, there's some food in the refrigerator. Y'all can have it. Unless that happens, I'm not, because I didn't put anything in there. So I'm not going to take anything out.
Chris has chimed back in and said, Big Ray, identical.
Okay.
I need to hear a side by side. Maybe we'll do that on the show. But now I have to listen very closely to hear if Derek Mason sounds like Jamie Foxx doing Ray Charles.
I don't know how to do the Ray Charles. Yes.
Oh, man.
Wasn't the food thing an episode of Friends where someone eats Ross's sandwich in the break room and he spends the whole episode trying to figure it out?
I'm not much of a Friends guy.
Yeah, I
to be
didn't watch
honest with
many
you.
episodes of Friends.
I'll text my sister-in-law. I think she's seen every episode. Maybe
I think
she'll
it
know.
was. It was either Friends or Seinfeld. I can't remember. I don't think it was Seinfeld.
Well, if one of you out there is a major
It
Friends
sounds like
fan,
a potential Seinfeld episode.
yeah, sounds like a Seinfeld / Curb Your Enthusiasm
Yes.
plot for sure.
You could definitely do a show around that.
Absolutely. Mitch Light of The Athletic will join us at 4:20 to talk some college football. But we began today's show. The Titans, I guess, practiced today, but no one was there because we weren't allowed to be there. Tomorrow, the Tennessee Titans host the defending Super Bowl champion, Seattle Seahawks, in a joint practice. And by the way, I regret to inform you that our friend from Forest Hills will not be able to attend, and there is a non-zero chance that Sam Darnold filed a restraining order. So I'm kidding, of course, but I digress. So tomorrow, Seahawks on the field with the Titans. We were unable to attend the practice in Santa Clara, so we did not get to see Cam Ward and the Titans go up against the 49ers, but we will all be there tomorrow to see the Titans measure up against the Seattle Seahawks. Willy Donick, what will you be watching for tomorrow at the Seahawks-Titans joint practice?
I think you want to see as much as you can in terms of this is a really good Seahawks team that not only won the Super Bowl last year, but I think is expected to be in the mix again. I think as much as it was a surprise before last season, I think with the youth of the team, there's not a ton of turnover. A lot of people expect they'll be one of the top. It's a great way to measure where the Titans roster is up against the NFL's best. So I am fully expecting it not to go super smooth. I don't think that looks good during the process. And the same would be true. I'm looking for young players. That's my theme of the whole preseason. I want to see young players take a jump. I want to see them jump off the page at me. I want to see them show up and say, ooh, that was so-and-so. He's a key guy for them. They need that. That's what I'm hoping for, because it's hard to watch everything in one of these practices. There's so much going on. You have two, like, we're going to have to figure out how we're dividing up to watch the practice, because you can watch the offense for the Seahawks against the Titans D and then vice versa. So you can't see everything. So what you do watch, you want to see some of those young players for the Titans take steps forward.
Here's what I'll be watching for, Derek. Last week, we heard the secondary had a rough go against the 49ers, both at the practice and we all witnessed in the preseason game. Tomorrow, the Titans secondary will be going up against arguably the best trio of wide receivers in the NFL: Jackson Smith-Njigba, Cooper Kupp, and Rashid Shaheed. So it's a big bounce back opportunity for Cordell Flott and Alontae Taylor and the rest of the Titans secondary. So that's something I'm going to be watching for, because we saw just how impressive Jackson Smith-Njigba was last season, helping the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. So if the Titans secondary struggled against second and third teamers on offense for the 49ers, I'm a little concerned about how they're going to look against the trio of Smith-Njigba, Kupp, and Shaheed.
I think first it starts with the defensive line. I think the defensive line is going to have to put more pressure. I want to see them put more pressure on the quarterback. This is not their quarterback. I'm not saying go out there and hurt Darnold, but what I'm saying is put pressure on him. Don't ease up as much as you would if it was Cam Ward, because I think that will help the defensive backs, because it allows them to anticipate a little bit better, because the quarterback doesn't have enough time to throw the football. He's getting that pressure. So that's first what I want to see. But I was thinking about this yesterday after the show, and Salah's mantra, all gas, no break. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but where's the execution and precision in that? If you're going to be all gas and no break, there needs to be some execution and some precision.
Yeah.
In that all gas, no break. I haven't seen that consistently from the offense. I haven't seen it consistently from the secondary. I'm not saying that they can't do it. I don't want anyone to mistake me saying the Titans can't do it. But when you're preaching, and I know behind the scenes he's saying more, but when you tell the public it's all gas, no break, you got to get some nuances in there too. We're about execution and precision in that all gas, no break. Because as fast as my car may be, if I have no precision in driving it or don't execute the turns I need to make, I'm just going to run into somebody each and every time.
Yeah.
So I want to see the precision and execution on both sides of the ball.
All gas, no break is probably not a good strategy in rush hour traffic.
Yes, no, it's not.
So
definitely,
it's a good point. There has to be something beyond that. I like the mentality, right? The bumper sticker mentality of, we're going to be edgy, we're going to be in your face, we're going to intimidate, we're going to be fast, we're going to be the better team. But execution is a huge part of it. Here's another thing to keep in mind: the Seahawks, the way they have gone about it, the way they won the Super Bowl, they are a rush 4 team. They rushed 4 76% of the time last year, 6th most in the league. So this is a great test for the offensive line, because they got to the quarterback rushing 4. They're one of those teams that could do that, and when you can do that, that's golden. That's what the Titans, I think, are hoping to do. That's the Robert Saleh defense. They don't like the blitz that much. They're right in that same category of try to get to the quarterback with 4. We'll see if the personnel moves that the Titans made can make that happen in the regular season. So what DMase said, you're not going to see it in this practice because you're not allowed to sack the quarterback, but you want to be able to rush the quarterback. You want to affect the quarterback. And on the other end, you're facing a really good rotational group of 4. It's not like the Purple People Eaters where you can name the 4 guys, right? With Carl Eller and Jim Marshall and Alan Page. It's going to be a rotation of guys that were very effective collectively last year at getting after the quarterback. So this is a good test of the offensive line tomorrow.
And a lot of what, as far as the secondary, getting back to them, listen, a lot is going to be made of the one-on-ones. I guarantee you. But that's not really what I want to see. I want to see them in a game-like environment. You're not going to, there's not many times a one-on-one situation, the way it is ran in practice, is going to be one of those deals. And it will never be that way because the quarterback doesn't have 20 seconds to throw the ball. And you can't run 5 different routes within one. And that's what happens sometimes when you're playing, when you're doing the whole one-on-one thing. So one-on-one to me doesn't mean much, if at all, anything. It's the how do you execute within the team environment with what you guys are running, what is being taught by Salah. How are you on the back end executing that? Are you tighter in coverage? Because in the game this past weekend, yeah, you may have been there, but you were playing so soft. It wasn't like you were aggressive. And maybe it was meant to be that way. I don't know. But this week has to be something different. It has to be in your mind, what was seen on television is not who we are as a defensive back unit.
Well, hopefully the Seahawks and Titans will behave themselves because within the past 15 minutes, the NFL has fined the Dallas Cowboys and New Orleans Saints $500,000 each for what it called, quote, the actions that took place at the joint practice between the teams earlier this week. I think there were like 5 or 6 fights.
Somebody got suplexed.
Yeah, at one point, Brock Rechsteiner, son of professional wrestler Scott Steiner, gave a member of the Dallas Cowboys a German suplex. Man. It was pretty cool, actually.
It was like, dude.
But now it's going to cost the Saints
it's going to cost them
and the Cowboys $500,000 a piece, which is like, nothing for an NFL franchise, but that's a lot of money still. 615-737-1025. By the way, we have confirmed, Connor Newt, it was friends.
I thought so.
Sonny says, yes, it was Monica's leftover Thanksgiving sandwich that got eaten. It had the extra sliced bread in the middle that Ross said was part of what made it so special. He loses it mentally and gets put on sabbatical at work because of his mental break.
That's right. And they gave him pills to calm him down. I remember this.
Do we need pills for Derek Mason with his open bag of popcorn?
He's not there yet.
He appears to be okay.
Should I call you Ray Charles from now on?
I'm cool.
Okay.
Either way.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, I want to ask Derek Mason about something regarding training camp practice, striking the proper balance of physicality in a training camp practice, because Ella Guyamaner had some interesting thoughts on this yesterday. We're going to play that clip. We're going to talk about it coming up next. 615-737-1025. Speaking of the Tennessee Titans, you can keep up with training camp on 1025 The Game for the latest updates, player interviews, and more as we get you prepped for the upcoming football season. Coverage of training camp is presented by Tennessee Brewworks, Parman Energy, and the Music City Kickoff Game.
All right, let's talk twice daily and the rewards program. Yes, what I've been talking about for several weeks now as they have joined the fray. We are super excited to have Twice Daily aboard as a sponsor here on 1025 The Game. So make it a habit. Support our sponsor because they do a great job. Twice Daily has the rewards program that is going to save you money. You're going to earn points every time you go and visit Twice Daily. Earn points and unlock special discounts, special savings, enter into special sweepstakes, and a whole lot more. So if you're looking for convenience, Twice Daily has you covered. First Friday football games coming up here. Make it part of your routine. You need the snacks on the way to or from the game. They've got you covered at Twice Daily. And like I said, when you're part of the rewards program, you're going to save money because of it. It's Twice Daily, fresh all day.
I guess, appreciate Kevin's aggressiveness out there. I know he hit on you and then also on Carnell, but it seems like you obviously was very concerned when you went down. How you like the way he plays and just his concern for you when you went down, I guess, a week or two ago?
Yeah, we have like a running joke in the receiver room that like I'm always glazing Kevin. Because I just like genuinely, to me, like that's something that I have a lot of respect for. Not necessarily like the hits where we're getting hurt, but the mentality that's an after effect over an effective, because he's not doing it on purpose. He's not trying to hurt us, but he practices so hard every day, and that's something that I have a whole bunch of respect for. I think like that's what brings you, or that's the habits and the process you have to become a great player, and it makes all of us better. It makes Cam better because he's got to understand Kevin feels like he's not going to get there, but he's going to get there, and so he has to layer the ball right. He has to control him with his eyes more, and so him playing like that every day, I don't want to ask anything less of him. Like I want him to do that every day.
That was Alec Iamaner on teammate Kevin Winston. A couple of weeks ago, Winston leveled Iamaner in a training camp practice. Iamaner suffered a shoulder injury. Fortunately for the Titans, it wasn't serious. Iamaner, I believe, back out the next day. But then Kevin Winston, the other day, was at the center of another loud collision with Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate left practice and did not return. He's fine. He did not practice the other day, but Robert Saleh said it was unrelated to the hit he took from Kevin Winston. But I want to ask you about this, Derek Mason, because our friend Nick Suss of the Tennessean wrote about this. And the question that Suss asked in the story, and I will read directly from the story, is this: is it better for the team to lean into the physical aspects of the game and risk injury, or is it better for the team to usher skill players to the regular season safely and just trust that defensive players will be able to amp up the physicality when it's called for? So as someone who went through many a training camp practice, Derek Mason, I would love your opinion on this question.
I mean, I understand what Alec is trying to, express or say. That, listen, in order to play all out, that's the way you got to practice. And he respects that. And I get that. But he's not the only person that in the whole NFL that practices like that. But the difference is you can practice like that, but you got to know how to practice like that. Fisher used to tell us that all the time. Know how to practice. Stay on your feet. Don't hurt your guys. You can be aggressive. You can be physical, but know how to practice. Protect one another. And when you do something like that, you got to have in your mind, listen, I play with two of the greatest safeties, I think, in the game. One's not in the Hall of Fame, and that's Blaine Bishop. And then obviously Ed Reed. Those guys played and practiced full speed, but never managed to hurt anybody. Never managed to hurt anybody. I don't even think at least when I got there, I don't even think he got into many collisions, if any, when it comes to a receiver. And I don't think Blaine did, but that time, when Blaine was playing, he come across him and hit you. It didn't matter. But what I'm saying is, when I got to the Titans, Blaine was established. So I don't know how he was before, but he managed.
That was going to be my question. I wonder how those guys learned from the time they were young players in the league and aggressive and learning how to practice. Because how different is an NFL practice as opposed to a college practice where you're trying to show off? You want to be in the right spot. The game is faster. There's bigger, stronger players. But of course, you don't want to hurt your own teammates, but you have to show the coaches you can be on time.
I think obviously the biggest difference is, personnel. You're playing against somebody, you're practicing against a player that you more than likely you're going to see that caliber of player even better.
Right.
In college, it's not always that way. You may be practicing against a Tate, but you ain't going against a Tate.
Scout team.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you may practice against a Carnell Tate, but in a game, you ain't going against nobody that resembles him. at all. I mean, talent-wise throughout the year. So when you in the NFL, when you go out and especially from a defense standpoint, because that's a lot of it is defense and then the offensive defensive line. Those guys manage to play physical, fast, but don't hurt one another. And that is what is expressed to the secondary, because ultimately, and this is the hardest thing sometimes, is to stay healthy between the games. Because at least in the game, it's like there are things in place where, it's just different. You feel a little bit, even though guys get injured, a lot of those injuries that like come in practice. They come in practice because of situations like we saw the last two, last two situations with Alec and then with Tate. I've seen a guy personally go down because the guy that was covering him in the center field didn't know how to pull up. He got a guy hurt and changed the whole trajectory of his career, I think.
Well, let's be very frank. With Kevin Winston, a young safety.
Yes.
He's very lucky that he hasn't injured both key wide receivers.
Exactly.
Because we were there for both of those plays. We were a little bit screened on the one that happened with Iron Man. We were on the side of the field and we were blocked. You could see the urgency. They're like, whoa, what just happened? And you could tell Winston was like, oh boy, what did I just do? And then it nearly happened the other day with Tate. That easily could have been a concussion. It's so close. But you can see Kevin Winston is trying to establish himself in the league. He's trying to show the coaches that he can play fast enough and be in the right spot. So I think it's a great catch-22. I used to hear Jeff Fisher from time to time say that. He would refer to it of, hey, the young guys have to learn how to practice. Because you have to show the coaches you're there to make the tackle, but obviously you're not allowed to tackle the person.
No.
So learning how to practice and not injure somebody is a skill, right?
Yeah, and listen, you want a guy like Winston to, be aggressive and, to be fast and get to that spot. But even in all of that, you got to know how to practice. You got to know how to protect your guy. This is not the guy you're going to see on Sunday. And again, this is the hardest part in all of it, is to try to, especially these young guys. And Winston, I mean, he's young, but he's not a first-year guy. The hard part is, like you said, Jeff would always say, getting these young guys to know and learn how to practice, protect one another. And it's like, well, that's something they should have known how to do in college, because college is the same principle, especially in camp, protecting your guy, especially in today's football with NIL. The last thing you want to do is get somebody hurt on the practice field. So I'm not sure that, these are things that Winston just needs to be aggressive, do what you need to do. But you also got to understand, in all of that, you're playing against your own player.
But as Iamander said in the clip we played, isn't the way Winston plays or practices helpful for Cam Ward? Because it will teach Cam Ward to adjust the way he throws, use his eyes to control defenders. So although Winston knocked Iamander out of practice, and as we said, fortunately for the Titans, Iamander is okay, isn't that helpful for Cam Ward as he prepares for the regular season?
How? Just say, Alec just needs to say that to himself again. How does that help Cam Ward if you're not playing? It doesn't. I know what he means as far as like the aggressiveness you want your guys to play with, and you want speed on the back end so Cam can look. But also Cam need to be better with his eyes, because Winston said he just read Cam's eyes and he went to the ball. Well, Cam needs to get better at sort of looking him off a little bit more. But in no world does that help Cam Ward when the receiver, we're worrying about whether you're going to practice the next day or not. How does that help Cam? It doesn't. I know what Alec meant, and I know, how it is on the football field. But the head coach would preach us all the time. How does it help anybody if our guy is sitting in the training room and can't play because of us?
So if you're Kevin Winston, and he even said this yesterday, it's hard to pull back when you're practicing. It's ingrained in you to go full force, especially as a younger player. So what's the process of reining it in, so to speak, so that you're trying to make a play, but you're not knocking out two of your wide receivers.
Learning personnel, learning route concepts. That's what helped guys. Why do you think Ed and Blaine and those guys are so good? It wasn't about them, getting there. They could read it before it even happened. They knew what route concepts were. They knew when the safety did, the tight end did this, or the receiver did that, or he lined up here. More than likely, this is what it's going to be. So I can jump a little bit early. I'm not running in there like a missile, without any precision.
Body control.
Exactly. No body control, no execution.
This will be interesting to watch when he gets in the game, because let's remember, Winston is a guy that hasn't played a ton the last couple of years because he got hurt. He came into the draft with an injury, and it took him most of his rookie year to get healthy. And even when he got healthy, he still wasn't able to stay on the field. So he just hasn't played a lot of football. He needs reps. And so I'm curious because it looks like they're just putting him in there. He's going to play and play a lot. He's got some talent. But the timing, we know how close we can all picture many plays during the course of a season where it's bang, bang. If you get there on time, it's a great play. If you don't, it's personal foul for, a defenseless receiver or pass interference, all of these things. So that's a guy that, do you think this is a sign that he's been in a couple of these incidents that this is going to be an issue in the game?
I hope it isn't an issue. I think he will sort of feel his way through it, I think. And I think he'll get better at practice. Listen, I'm not saying that the kid, isn't a good player. I think he is a good player, but these are the things that you got to learn. One of the greatest safeties other than Blaine, Kevin Byard. You didn't see him colliding with people, left and right in practice. Why? Because he understood. And again, he probably learned that at this, been in the league for a year, maybe a half a year, somewhere around there, how to practice. Because the last thing you want to do is hurt one of your guys. But if I know what I'm looking at from a defensive standpoint, then I can better adjust myself to whereas I'm not flying in there sort of out of control because I didn't recognize what they were running, and now I got to get to that spot. Guys like Byard and Reed and Blaine and all these other great safeties, they were great because they could anticipate. They knew more than likely what was happening as far as route. And that's where Winston needs to get to. And I think he will. He wants to. So once he start learning that, you will, those collisions, I think, will be gone out of his sort of practice habits once he learns more and more of offenses and how to play in this league.
And what do all these players that we're discussing what do all these players we're discussing have in common?
Young.
Cam Ward, second year. Iomanor, second year. Winston, second year. Tate, first year. So these are all young players trying to learn how to be pros.
615-737-1025. Coming up next, we conclude our look around the AFC South by talking about the Indianapolis Colts. Can they recapture their pre-Daniel Jones injury form this season? 615-737-1025. Catch the Metro High School football game of the week every Friday at 7 p.m. on 1025 The Game. Tomorrow night's game, Pearl Cone versus Chris Sanders at Montgomery Bell Academy. Before and after the game, Big Joe and our very own Connor Newt will have complete high school football coverage with the Game Blitz, powered by Southeast Financial Credit Union.
And Chase, the Colts are a particularly interesting team to have these question marks surrounding them, the Alec Pierce and the Daniel Jones of it all, because this is a team that started off hot, as you mentioned last year, didn't make the playoffs, and there were questions about whether an organizational reset was going to be on tap. They ended up holding the course, and they're back with Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, and Daniel Jones gets an extension. Pierce gets big money. Feels like one of those teams that in this division has a wide range of outcomes here. The best version of the Colts can compete to win the AFC South. The worst version might be clinging on to third place in this division. A fascinating year ahead for Indianapolis. And right now, that wide receiver room looks pretty dire to me at this exact moment.
That was friend of the show, Field Yates, on ESPN, discussing the Indianapolis Colts. Willy, Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. And at one point last season, the Colts were a juggernaut. They could not stop scoring. The Titans were the first team to force the Colts to punt last season, and it took until week 3.
That was crazy.
20 consecutive drives to open the season without a punt for the Indianapolis Colts.
They did make them punt, but there were still a lot of points put up on the board.
It didn't
Indeed.
matter.
So at least the Titans raise a banner for that. First team to make the Colts punt in 2025.
Very small banner, but yeah, put it up
A
there.
small banner, but a banner nonetheless. But then Daniel Jones got hurt, and the Colts went into free fall. They became the first team since the 1995 Raiders to start 8-2 and miss the playoffs. Now, Daniel Jones is back on the practice field. It sounds like he's getting close to 100%. He's not quite there yet, but he isn't necessarily limited by his leg injury. But the question about the Colts, Willy Donick, can they recapture their pre-Daniel Jones injury form? Because they were rolling before he got hurt.
This exercise of looking at the teams in the division, I think, lays out the path for the Titans here. You just heard Field Yates say in that statement, the worst version of the Colts will be relegated to third. I don't think he's talking about the Texans finishing fourth. We know who he's talking about.
Yes.
So you have the Texans who, what is your term for the Texans?
A sexy
Super
Bowl
pick.
favorite.
I don't know if they're a favorite, but they're a trendy
Contender.
Super Bowl contender.
A sexy contender.
And the analytics people in particular are the ones that really like the Texans numbers, starting with the defense. The Jaguars were 13-4 last year. Has Trevor Lawrence plateaued? I don't think so. They haven't gotten anything from Travis Hunter. So they have an exciting outlook for the next few years. And now you've got the Colts who, for 10 games last year, as you just illustrated, nobody could stop them. They had numbers that were similar, Derek. I heard Connor Orr talking about this. They were similar in the first 10 games to the offensive output of the greatest show on turf, Rams, who beat you guys at the Super Bowl. He actually referenced that team. They were that good on offense. Now, I cannot imagine they're going to be that good, even if Jones is back and healthy. Could they be that good again on offense? Something tells me no. But could they be a good team? Probably. This is all of a sudden, this is a division that has gone from, hey, it doesn't take much to win the AFC South. Remember, we were singing that tune just a couple of years ago. Now it's like, oh, you got to be really good just to survive in this division. The other three teams look like they've got it together pretty well.
Yeah, it seems like it. Indianapolis, they started off on a tear. Daniel Jones goes down, and all of a sudden, offensively, they couldn't get anything done. Defensively, they couldn't stop anybody. They were giving up almost 25 points a game. They were giving up more points than almost as many points a game as the Titans were.
And that was after trading for Sauce Gardner.
Absolutely. It seemed like they got worse after that on defense. So that's first and foremost. They're going to have to fix their defense. And then they're going to have to replace not Alec Pierce. Is it
Michael Pittman.
Michael Pittman. They're going to replace Michael Pittman.
They signed Alec Pierce to that huge deal. We talked a lot about Alec Pierce leading into free agency. He hasn't practiced all offseason because he had ankle surgery. So Pierce is on the shelf. Pittman was traded to, I believe, Pittsburgh as a result of the Pierce extension. They just brought in Keenan Allen, who how old is Keenan
Yeah,
Allen?
he's old.
How old is
Been
Keenan
around
Allen
the block
at this
a few
point?
times.
Okay, old, quote unquote. He's 34, but
That's old.
Football age.
he's old in football years. They just brought in Keenan Allen to shore up the wide receiver room. And they signed Jonathan Taylor to the big contract in the offseason as well.
Yeah, so they need some things to start working. They need, going out and getting Sauce Gardner. They need that to be a benefit and a seen benefit this year because they can't, even if Daniel Jones comes back and, play to that level, you're still giving up 20-something points a game. So those guys that they brought in, mainly Sauce Gardner on the outside, you have to be a part of, this team improving. And I'm not sure that, and I would say they didn't improve not one bit, really. So much so that people believe that the Titans will not be the last place in the team in the division. And the Titans are a young team.
Yes, our friend Connor Orr, who, by the way, will be joining us every week during the NFL season of Sports Illustrated. We did this exercise a couple of weeks ago where Orr predicted the outcomes of all 272 games of the NFL season. He had the Colts tied with the Titans at 6-11, but the Titans finishing in third and the Colts finishing in last in the AFC South. I've seen a wide range of outcomes. As Field Yates said in the clip, I could see the Colts bouncing back, being in the playoff race until the bitter end. I could also see the Colts face planting the way they face planted at the end of last season, losing 7 in a row.
Well, depending on what week you turned them on your TV, you saw both.
Yes.
You might have seen both. FTN, the Aaron Schatz numbers, has them at 51% of making the postseason. So that
coin flip.
It's coin flip, but those are actually good odds compared to the Titans, who I think are in the 20s. So you've got a prediction you just referenced of both Colts and Titans having the same record. But the probability and the roster strength, according to FTN, heavily favors the Colts. They've got way more ways of getting to the playoffs than the Titans do. Their numbers are way, way better. Now, as we know, anything can happen. Daniel Jones is a huge X factor, right? He's never put together back-to-back really good seasons. He's not fully healthy. We know running is a big part of his repertoire. How's that going to look? What they have going for them, this is the one thing, though, the DMase I hear a lot. And we had this discussion last week in terms of Daboll. But Shane Steichen is considered an elite play caller. And one of the things that I won't bore you with all the percentages and things like that, but one of the things Aaron Schatz puts forth in his breakdown of the Colts, his people, is that the Colts, when they were rolling, there were a ton of plays where the receiver was open or wide open. And you talk about that in the NFL. It doesn't happen as often as it does in college, right? But they were scheming their way into big plays early before he got hurt. Are they going to be on to him more, or is Steichen just that good of a play caller?
I'm not sure. I mean, he was playing well. And, which meant the offensive line at that time was playing well. The running game was going. So if they can replicate that, where Jonathan Taylor is running well, it makes Daniel Jones' job a little bit easier. Now I got to commit that safety more time than not into the box to stop Jonathan Taylor, which means it changes the coverage on the outside. So some things may be open. That's why you look at Daniel Jones. His two best seasons was when he had a healthy Saquon Barkley and a Jonathan Taylor. Had he stayed healthy, he could have been the MVP. At the pace he was going, why? Because he had a damn good run game. If that run game can sustain the way it has been, then I think it's more so about him just navigating in the pocket and can he use that ability to run now after the injury?
Here's something, Adam. You take the first crack at this, numbers person. Unless you've already read this out of the FTN Almanac. What percentage of the time? This is based on their charts, right? This is not across the board taken, but this is FTN numbers. What percentage of the time do you think a quarterback targets a receiver that is charted as open or wide open? What percent? Derek, you answer after Adam. Connor, you can take a crack at it.
This is the league average.
In the league average, what's the league average of a quarterback throwing to an open or wide open receiver?
I'm going to say it's relatively low. Put me somewhere between 15 and 20%.
Okay.
What do they consider open? That's the thing.
Well, it's probably it's probably up to the person keeping the chart of that particular
Exactly.
game. It might vary. I mean, so it's not perfect. Let's say
I would say at least if you're talking about wide open and open, I would say the amount of times that happens is very, very low. I think it's 10% of the time.
Ooh,
That you're going to a wide open or open guy. Like, because I'm just thinking like open.
It's hard to know what the frame of reference
absolutely,
is and what it would be. What would it be in a college game? What would the standard be as opposed to a pro game? All right, Connor, what would you think?
I'll go with a fourth. I'll go 25% of the time.
25%. Okay, so what they have at FDN is 36%, which is higher than I would have thought too.
Yes.
But here's where the Colts were. Thanks when they were rolling and Daniel Jones was hot. He was targeting open or wide open receivers 48% of the time. They were cooking. They were scheming. And like you said, it all starts with the great running game, right? When you can do that, that's think when Derrick Henry was at his height and Tannehill was at his best. I think that's what was happening a lot. He was getting wide open guys because they were scheming their way. Teams had to do so much to stop the run, and they still couldn't stop the run.
But here's the issue, and I take no glee in saying this because you know where Daniel Jones went to school, right?
Duke.
That's right. He's a little injury prone. He's played 16 games into the season exactly once in his 7-year career. So odds are he is going to get hurt at some point during the season. It may not be as serious as it was last year, but chances are he's not starting every game for the Colts. And we saw what happened when Daniel Jones went down last season. 615-737-1025. We will shift gears to college football. Coming up next, our very own Joe Rexrode has listed his 25 most interesting people in college football in 2026, who are our picks for that designation. We'll discuss coming up next. 615-737-1025. Let me tell everybody to come out and hang out with us next Friday, August 28th at T-Line in West Nashville as part of our 15-year birthday celebration. And if you do come out, we've got some gifts for you. Because every hour, starting at 6 a.m., you'll have a chance to win Predators tickets, Vanderbilt tickets, concert tickets, and more. And I have confirmed with Chase McCabe that the grand prize, the big prize, Predators season tickets, not single game tickets, season tickets, and there are now 42 home games, so you get an extra game. So if you want Predator season tickets, among other things, you have to be there. So stop by T-Line, get signed up for a chance to win those season tickets. For more information, visit theGameNashville.com/birthday. This was an interesting text that I didn't see about the Winston conversation. I've done karate for 20 years. This is the same problem we see when we are training. You have to learn to have control because people get hurt if you don't. People in the school get a reputation if they refuse to learn. People stop wanting to practice with it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is
worth reading.
Yes.
It is, man. You got to learn how to. If you're talking about being a part of being a professional, it's learning how to practice.
Learning how to practice.
Yeah, so you don't hurt nobody.
I think
we all got to go full speed.
I think that 36% number is interesting. I want to watch games and because I think they probably include quick throws that,
I have to imagine
you're going to complete the pass. That's a certain amount.
I have to imagine it's probably the separation between the target and the nearest defender at the time of the quarterback throwing the ball.
But think about like a screen pass.
Yeah.
That would probably almost every time be wide open.
Yes.
Because that's not the point. The guy's going to be open. It's what does he do after he catches the ball.
Well, it's not open all the time.
Not all the time, but I would say a pretty high percentage. Just like when you're throwing over the middle into a crowd of people, you're not going to.
Okay, so when you say, that's what I'm trying to figure out when they say open, because he can catch the ball and make a play, but that doesn't mean there are not guys around. Like as close as you and I, because there's an offensive lineman right here. Yeah. So is that open, or do they consider that covered?
Also, I would say, let's say it's 3rd and 15, and you throw the check down. They're going to leave that guy wide open. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a great play.
Exactly, yeah.
Most of the time, the guy's going to catch.
He's going to get about 6 yards, especially if it's like 3rd and 15. Yeah.
But that's why it's 36% and not 15%. I would say it's probably more like 15% on 3rd and 8 throwing to the sticks.
But I did see a bunch of their guys running wide open.
Well, there's no doubt. Like,
yeah,
they had it. They had it wrong.
Hell, it was one here with the Titans when Alec
Yeah.
Pierce was running wide open down the sideline.
And then there was one where Jonathan Taylor just Jonathan Taylor just he had 3 touchdowns in that game.
Well, he made them look like fools. He did. It wasn't pretty.
Well, here it is.
Wow. The Milwaukee Brewers, man. So many of these no-name guys.
Did I see them win the other day 22-0?
Yep.
What happened?
Well,
I saw the
after a
guy
while-
lobbing pitches.
Yeah, well, the guy, if it gets to a certain thing, if they're behind by enough, the other team will put in a position player and say,
"No, here was the
we're not going to waste a pitcher." So
yeah,
that guy could give up 10 runs, which is probably I don't know. He gave up some.
They didn't get their work
So
like, dude, just
it
strike him
wouldn't
out.
have been that bad. You almost want to tell your guys, just get out, so we can get out of here.
Here was the one of the touchdown runs in the game.
Watch
them.
That's wide open. That's embarrassing. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing.
That was a blowout. What a blowout.
Oh man, that was funny.
That was embarrassing. Him running through the defense like that.
Good afternoon. I'm Connor New. Breaking news in the world of college football. As a judge in the state of Louisiana has given temporary restraining orders to 16 college football players, which will allow them to re-enter the transfer portal and be eligible to play.
This is an
I'd say
absolute
number
mess.
one, Cam's played enough football. As disappointed as I was out of anybody's tape in preseason week
like,
1,
why?
I'd say number one, Cam's played enough football in the league already to have cleaner eyes. This is a sail concept up top when he gets that safety at the bottom of the screen to rotate and those defenders lift. This should be an easy throw to that corner flat. Instead, it's a scramble, and I think he gets 1 yard. Cleaner eyes, that ball should go there 100 out of 100 times. Number two, no easy misses. It's hard in this league to play quarterback. This is an RPO that nickel fires. That means throw the bubble. He's wide open. This is Wandale Robinson. That's an easy throw. You can't miss this. The third one, are we being competitive or careless? The defense has won the rep here. Everybody's covered. Competitive or careless? Because careless, hold on to the football, run backwards, try to float the ball away. That's a intentional grounding penalty. It's preseason. I'm not overreacting. But you do want to see much improved play in week 2 from Cam Ward to at least spring this offense into the regular season. Because if he takes a step, Tennessee is going to be a very competitive football team. But they
Immediately following DVD beginning at 6 p.m. The Game Nashville Sports Network. I'm Connor. For more, log on to theGameNashville.com. Your sports live here on the Game Nashville Sports Network. Following is a presentation of the Game Nashville Sports Network. Live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. WPRT FM Negro, WZHD2 Laverne.
I hate this new matchup open thing.
I know.
It throws me off. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Your sports live here. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. This is 102.5 The Game.
DMase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5. The Game, Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt. Here with you, Mitch Light of the Athletic will join us in about 15, 20 minutes to talk some college football. By the way, be listening this hour because you can win a pair of tickets to the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game. Ole Miss versus Louisville, Nissan Stadium, Sunday, September 6th. Willy Donick has come up with a trivia question. So be listening this hour for that trivia question. The first person to answer it will get those tickets to the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game.
Ole Miss versus Louisville next month at Nissan Stadium. But our very own Joe Rexroad published a story earlier today or yesterday, I don't remember which, about the 25 most interesting people in college football in 2026. And according to Rexroad, Kurt Signetti tops the list of college football's 25 most interesting people of 2026. So I thought it would be fun to go around the room, and share who we think will be the most interesting person in college football in 2026. Willy Donick, why don't you
I think the default answer is always Lane Kiffin.
Yes.
And I think that Lane Kiffin this year, because of all the circumstances and the drama and where he is and the expectations that go with that program, regardless of whether their name is Lane Kiffin or Brian Kelly or pick somebody, Bill Arnsparger, former coaches at LSU. The LSU coach by nature is on the hot seat from day one. And so Lane Kiffin comes in, and Lane Kiffin, we know, is about drama. It's never dull. And he's also never really broken through as a head coach. And his best chance was last year, and he never even coached the team in the playoffs. He bolted. So he's a strange bird. It's never going to be dull. So it will be interesting. And then my honorable mention on the local angle is clearly Jared Curtis. Like, Jared Curtis has got to be somebody that's going to be watched very, very closely because of his story.
I think locally, I think it's Clark Lee. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. I think because of where the perception still is about his program and where he believes, and a lot of other people believe too, where he's gotten this program, now people are wondering and figuring, without Diego and Stowers, what will this team look like? And you're right, Jared Curtis will be a part of that. But I think, to me, it's Clark Lee. What is he going to do with the team that isn't led by a upperclassman, at least underneath center? So, and people don't believe in, it baffles me why not, but people aren't believing in what he's building with this program at Vanderbilt. I just don't understand why they don't believe it. So I think that will be interesting in itself. And then I think Kalen DeBoer. I mean, after Nick Saban basically lowered the bar for him, he lowered the bar for him, can he now go out and, satisfy the Tide fan base? Because 7-8 wins ain't gonna do it.
What do you think the answer to that question?
7-8 wins ain't gonna do it. It's just not.
And on paper, most people believe, and once again, here I am referencing the schedule, the depth. It's harder to win 9 or 10 games. And do you think the Alabama fan base is going to give him any slack at all and say, well, they did play an extra conference game this year?
No.
Heck no. So if they show up and win 8 games, he's going to feel it. Let's not forget that Kalen DeBoer, they weren't real happy with him when they got throttled in the Rose Bowl, right? They got absolutely taken to the woodshed. But they had to re-up Kalen DeBoer.
Mm-hmm.
He got an extension. Why? The Michigan job was open. And Michigan, they thought Kalen DeBoer was a good candidate. So he had leverage. Even though the fans were probably get him out of here.
Take him, please.
But this is the stakes get raised. So I think that's a great one.
I've got 2 that come to mind, both of whom are coaches, and one is local adjacent. James Franklin. James Franklin is fascinating to me. Having grown up in Virginia, I know a lot of Virginia Tech alum. I know how excited they are about James Franklin. I feel like they haven't been this excited about Virginia Tech football in 10 or 15 years.
Although they love their team.
Of course.
Absolutely. They've had a great fan base.
Absolutely. But it hasn't been fun in Blacksburg in recent years. So James Franklin comes in, a huge infusion of cash as well for the Hokies. James Franklin out of the Penn State spotlight. Virginia Tech is a storied college football program, but I feel like, and you know this full well, Willie, I feel like that spotlight got too bright for James Franklin and Penn State. It was always, you can't win the big games. Anytime the Nittany Lions go against one of the top teams in the country, they don't show up. Now you put that to the side. The ACC, a little bit easier of a conference. So I am fascinated by how Franklin makes the transition to Virginia Tech.
Think about James Franklin. Bundle of energy, enthusiasm, relentless worker. At Vanderbilt, he led them to back-to-back 9-4 seasons. He was a hero, right? He was the miracle worker. You go back-to-back 9-4 seasons at Penn State, he's on the hot seat. Can't win the big one. What's going on? Exact same record. Virginia Tech, if he goes 9-4 in back-to-back years, he'll be a lot closer to what he was at Vanderbilt, right? He's going to be getting a lot of pats on the back, which will fuel his enthusiasm.
So
I think he's in the right spot.
Yeah.
The ACC does not have depth.
That's a good point. He's probably looking at it and saying, I got a really good fan base.
Mm-hmm.
I've got interest in a program, and I've got resources that can move me up this league pretty quick if we can get our stuff together.
The Hokies were 3-9 last season, suffered an early loss to Vanderbilt in Blacksburg.
They got smoked.
Yes.
Vanderbilt wiped the floor with the Hokies.
It was not even close. And you know where I'm going with the second one. It's Bill Belichick. Duh. I'm gonna watch that car wreck. I remember tuning into that first game last season in Chapel Hill against TCU. All of the Carolina dignitaries were there. Michael Jordan was there. And then they got their asses kicked, and it was awesome. UNC scored on the opening drive, and it was like, oh my God, here we go. They lost 48-14 after that. And I loved every second of it. But so many other people are just waiting to see how badly it ends for Belichick at North Carolina. I saw our friend Tim Hasselbeck say on ESPN earlier today, he thinks the Tar Heels are going to be improved and that Belichick will get himself off the hot seat this season. But just remember all of the Michael Lombardi stuff and, we're the 33rd team, despite the fact that Carolina had 0 players drafted into the NFL this past year. So, you know me, nothing warms my heart like watching North Carolina suffer, the school, not the state. So I will be watching to see if Belichick completely flames out. I think he is the most interesting person in college football.
The word is schadenfreude.
Yes.
I would say that.
Where's the bell?
Adam is a big schadenfreude person
now
when it comes to anything North Carolina.
Define that for the good people.
Schadenfreude is a German word that means you're taking pleasure in other people's pain.
Oh, absolutely.
He loves it. He loves it.
But you know what? I know the Carolina fans out there feel the same way about Duke. So it's all love, but mostly hate. Connor Newt, who is the most interesting person in college football for you in 2026?
Like Willie said, the easy answer is Lane Kiffin, but I would go on the other side of the divorce and say Pete Golding is one of the most interesting people in college football. I'm curious to see how can he rally that team with the weapons they have. Trinidad Chambliss is probably going to be a Heisman frontrunner this season. As a defensive-minded coach at that, with a whole new staff and just revenge on their minds this season, I'm curious to see how he can rally that team and get them going. And this isn't free advertisement, but they are playing here in Nashville, not once, but twice. So you could catch that one. And then, of course, Big Blue Glasses. Will Stein is interesting to me just to see how I don't think they're going to be bowl eligible this year, but it'll feel like a new era of Kentucky football. Mark Stoops has been the coach there for almost 15 years, and having a new face with a new kind of offense and transfer portal and recruiting is interesting to me. But if you had to ask me my number one, it's Pete Golding for sure.
Craig says, as a Notre Dame fan, I think it's Marcus Freeman. If he gets the Irish over the top and wins the national championship this year, does he bowl for the NFL? Or does he stay at Notre Dame and try to win multiple national championships, something that hasn't been done by a head coach at Notre Dame in a long time?
That'd be interesting to see. He has one of the best jobs ever, as long as he continues to win, because they don't have to answer to no one. They're not in a conference when it comes to football, so they don't have to answer to anyone. Here's another one that I thought of. Sark and Manny together, not apart, for Sark and Manning together, that is going to me. That's interesting because what is the story going to be if indeed Texas doesn't, get to where their fan base wants them to get, which is the national championship?
Hot seat for Sark.
So would it be more on Manning or Sark?
Well, Manning will bolt for the NFL.
Yeah, but I'm saying when you are, because Manning can play well Heisman-like throughout the season, and Sark can coach his butt off throughout the season. But again, the depth. What if they lose 2 games?
Or 3.
They
could lose 3.
Exactly. So who would it then be put on? Will it be Manning? Will it be Sark? Would it be both of them?
That's a really good one, I think. And just from Manning's purposes, he was so hyped at this time last year.
Mm-hmm. It was insane.
It was. And then he really did start playing better.
Yes.
And so I think that first game against Ohio State, there's so much spotlight that's going to be on that one.
I'm looking at some of Rex Road's other choices, including Derek Mason, Pat Fitzgerald, head coach of Michigan State.
I thought about Pat, but there's no reason for me to talk Big Ten because we get into the whole argument again.
I mean, you can.
You know where it's going to go.
No, but I think he is. It's going to be interesting because since Coach D left, I mean, the program just it's fell off the map pretty much. And, they've been through 3 coaches in 4 years, somewhere around there. This will be their 3rd coach. They didn't change the AD. So it's not just on the coach, the head coach, Fitzgerald. It's on the AD as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because they've lost some of their players. They lost their star wide receiver to Indiana. They lost a couple other players. So it's going to be interesting to see, at least from a Big Ten standpoint. And I know there are a bunch of Big Teners out there that live here, especially Spartan Dogs that live here. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he can try to get this program back on the right track.
615-737-1025. Our very own Joe Rexrode unveiled his list of college football's 25 most interesting people of 2026. He has Kurt Signetti at number 1. Who is the most interesting person in college football to you in 2026? 615-737-1025. We'll ask that question to our friend Mitch Light, also from The Athletic, coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. Here with you. Connor Newt is in charge of music today. Any guesses on the theme so far?
It's something. There's a lot of love.
Yeah, it is.
Do you believe in love? How will I know if he loves me?
We're in love.
We're in love. Yeah. Are we around it? Are we warm?
Not really. It's more about the framing. Of the titles.
The framing
of the song.
Breakups.
Is it a question? The question? It ends in a question mark?
Yeah.
The name of the song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
All right.
Okay. So it wasn't just questions about love. It was just questions.
Questions, period. Just questions.
Connor doesn't care about love. He doesn't
Well,
care.
he said we were far off then. Because we were saying it was like about love, and that's a question. Are we in love?
There's always questions about love. It's a mystery.
One day, Connor, you'll care about love. One day.
I care. I just haven't found it yet.
Love,
found love.
Love is love.
Love
is
hasn't
love.
found him yet.
Keep searching.
Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And welcome our friend, Mitch Light of The Athletic, who has also found love. Hello, Mitch. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I thought I got called by the wrong radio station. Like a love hotline or something.
Yes,
I'm willing to answer questions about any subject, by the way.
Okay, good to know. Okay. We will keep that in mind. But we'll start with this. We'll start with this question. We were just talking about our very own Joe Rexrode's list on theathletic.com of college football's 25 most interesting people. He selected Curt Cignetti. How would you answer that question?
Well, it's funny. Joe did this story last year, and it was obvious that it was Arch Manning. He led with Arch Manning. And this year, we said, Joe, you want to do the 25 most interesting people? Again, he's like, sure. So I wrote in our little spreadsheet, 25 most interesting people, Lane Kiffin. That's assumed Joe was going to lead with Lane Kiffin. And he filed a story yesterday and picked Curt Cignetti. But I think he makes a very strong argument that it can be or should be Curt Cignetti over Lane Kiffin. I think they could be tied for first, but I think Cignetti in a very short amount of time obviously has vaulted to the top of the most intriguing list in college football, whether you hate him or you love him. He's definitely an interesting guy, and he's done an amazing job in a very, very short period of time at Indiana. So I applaud Joe for thinking slightly outside the box.
Help us make sense of this lawsuit filed against the NCAA in Louisiana State Court yesterday. As I understand it, the list of plaintiffs includes 16 football players, several who signed with NFL teams and are participating in training camps right now. And I guess their hope is to be cut from the NFL teams and go back to college. What the hell is going on?
That's a good question. I don't know if I can make sense of it. It's a complex situation, obviously, and I hope I get my terminology right. There was a ruling in Colorado a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, that was a temporary restraining order against the NCAA. But if I'm correct, this did not necessarily allow the players to enter the portal. So if you weren't in the portal at the designated time, you could only return to your school. So a different group of players, what would you say, 15 or 16, brought a case to Louisiana, and that restraining order against the NCAA orders the NCAA, I guess, to open the transfer portal for 1 week. So that's why you're seeing all these players get into the portal. And yeah, some of them, like the most well-known guy, at least in the SEC country, is Jack Clyburn, who played for Florida and LSU and was a good college player. And I don't think was going to make the Bucks. A lot was made, like he had 2 tackles in the preseason game the other day, their exhibition game. But I think he was borderline to make the Bucks. So I think anybody who would make an NFL roster would not ask to be released. But if you're not going to make an NFL roster and there's money to be had in college football, I don't think any of us like it, but kind of who are we to tell these guys not to go get the money when they can? And for those listeners out there, these are all 2022 signees who this is their 5th year of college football. Had they been 23 signees based on the new 5-for-5 legislation, they would have 5 years of eligibility. So these players are trying to recoup that extra year of eligibility that they weren't afforded because when the ruling was announced.
Now, Mitch, with that being said, are these individuals trying to play like immediately, or do you think there will be something else that sort of stops them from doing this? Because Listen, no more than 2 months ago, we were talking about the Texas Tech thing, and it kept going and going and going, and then eventually, the guy decided, I'm just going to walk away from it. Do you think it'll get to a point like that with this?
Well, I think the injunction allows them to play right away. And so they are, classes are starting a lot of places, so they've got to get enrolled or re-enrolled. Now, a lot of these guys are graduates already, and you don't need to take a full course load necessarily, but they still have to be enrolled in their school. So, yeah, I believe that they will be able to play. Now, there is what league is Villanova in for? Is it for football? FCS. I forgot what league they're in. I don't think there's a Patriot League for football. Adam, do you know off the top of your head?
Good question. I will look it up.
Villanova?
Yeah. There's a case there, interesting case there, where that league has said, I think Villanova's quarterback is trying to come back on the same ruling for a fifth year, and that league has said, we will not let you play him. You will forfeit the games. So there's a case where a league is putting its foot down and saying, I don't care what's going on elsewhere. You can't play in this league. So that's something interesting to follow. The SEC and other leagues have not done that yet. So that's just another part of this whole complicated web.
It is the Patriot League at FCS, by the way.
And Mitch, hasn't the NCAA said if we plan to appeal this, so beware now. If you play these guys and then this gets overturned, those players are ineligible and you're susceptible to forfeiting those games. Isn't that out there?
I don't know how enforceable that is. It feels like if schools were really worried about that they would not play these guys. And again, I hope I'm not botching the terminology and all this because it's all so complicated. But like, for instance, Vanderbilt just signed a guy, or I don't know if he's officially signed, I think he's at practice, a defensive end who played at Temple. I don't even know if he started at Temple. He's a rotational guy. And I know that's one area where Vanderbilt's maybe a little concerned about their depth. So they signed a guy to provide some depth. Now, if you're Vanderbilt, you're really concerned about forfeiting games. Are you going to play a guy who probably isn't going to make a big impact on your team? So that's just another layer. And most of these guys are not impact players. Now, there's some good players, obviously. And then there's a whole nother layer of this is roster spots. What the 105, I believe, is the new rule. How many of these teams were at 105? And if there's a situation where, because LSU evidently is going to sign a couple of these guys, if they boot someone off their current team to sign one of these guys, that's kind of a bad situation. That's a bad look. I don't think most teams are at that hard cap of 105, but that's another thing. You have to have faith. And then some of these guys that are returning to college to get paid in NIL. Like, early when we first got wind of this, a lot of people were saying, well, there's no money involved. There's no money left for these guys. Well, you know what we're finding out? If coaches want a player, they'll find the money, and that's what they're doing.
Now, let's stick with Vanderbilt here, Mitch. We're talking Mitch Light of The Athletic. The perception and the reality, because when you look at Vandy's program, and I want to know if you believe that, because the perception of it is already this team is going to take some steps back. They may win 6, maybe 7 games, but that's from the people outside of sort of the program and outside of the SEC, meaning coaches.
Sure.
How does the coaches and people that are going to play, how do you think they view Vandy in that program? Because obviously, us talking heads are not us, but talking heads out there see Vandy as one thing and them regressing. But I don't know how the coaches see Vandy in their program and what Clark Lee is doing.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a ton of respect around the league for Clark Lee. There's no doubt there has to be in the kind of the way they play and the culture. It's not just when they were 2-10, coaches say, they play hard. They're always in the right spot. They're physical. The things you say maybe to a bad team that you think is well coached. I think last year they had good skill. Obviously, the quarterback situation, we know how good Diego Pavi was. I think there's immense respect for Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator. I think he is quietly, he's an older guy, but he is kind of emerging as one of the best or most well-regarded play callers in the country. So I think while most coaches would probably sit there and say, from a talent perspective, they're still probably in the bottom quarter of the league, but they're an older team. They're well coached. They've got a good culture, and they got a great play caller. So I don't know how Vanderbilt has not kind of garnered more respect from coaches around the league. Now, if they can do it one more year, not saying win 10 games, but if they have another successful year, then I think you remove some of the doubts nationally that is, this was just the Diego Pavia thing and Eli Sowers last year, and it would gain even more respect.
Mitch Light is with us, college football editor at The Athletic. So, Mitch, I heard this discussion recently among some of your colleagues on a podcast, and that was they were trying to determine who is the best non-Power 4 team. There's going to be somebody that gets that automatic bid. Last year it was Tulane, and they got throttled in the playoffs. So we know that whoever this team is going to be under the microscope. Should these guys be allowed in, all of that stuff. Who do you think is a candidate this year?
It was a big game in week 0. Is it week 0? I think it's week 0. Memphis going out to UNLV, which is going to be could go a long way in deciding that automatic bid. UNLV, Dan Mullen has done a really good job. It kind of turned into a last chance U, where they've gotten a lot of transfers. I know everyone has a lot of transfers, but a lot of Power 4 transfers that for whatever reason haven't quite worked out there. And Charles Tuff takes over Memphis. If you follow Charles Tuff's career, he was a running backs coach at Vanderbilt for James Franklin. Or I think he's a grad assistant at Vanderbilt, went to Penn State. He's been all over. He was at Marshall, went to Southern Miss last year. They went from worst in the league to, I don't think they might have won the league, and then goes to Memphis. So I think they'll be good again. Boise State, once again, is going to be very good. Their quarterback, Maddox Madsen, I think it's the 3rd year with the head coach, Spencer Danielson, and the quarterback. You don't see that very often in college football anymore. Tulane, I think, is going to take a step back. They lost a lot. There was just a lot of attrition in the last 2 years, losing guys to the portal, and obviously the coaching change there. So I would say Boise State, UNLV, and Memphis would be among the top 3.
We had this discussion last segment talking about interesting people in college football. The fit of James Franklin at Virginia Tech. What's your expectation level in that league with that guy at that program? To me, that's a real intriguing one.
I think it's perfect fit. And I remember last year, right when he got let go at Penn State, Grace Brainer, who one of my writers covers mostly recruiting, she wrote a column just like Virginia Tech. James Franklin is perfect for you. Go get him. You know, there's thought that Franklin was going to try and hold out for Florida or Florida State, one of these so-called better, bigger jobs. And the point she made in her column was just like, just spend the money, go get him. He's perfect for you. It's I think we know James Franklin. He is a program built in Virginia. Tough point. You think where he started at Vanderbilt, taking over he's some talent. We've gone over that, and takes over at Penn State, which had been, Bill O'Brien had started the rebuild there. Like Virginia Tech still has a good name in college football. They've kind of fallen on hard times, but it's a program where you can win. There's room for upward mobility in the ACC. Obviously, Miami has it rolling right now, but Clemson's not where it was. Florida State's not where it was. Virginia is a very good state for a very fertile recruiting state. While Virginia has gotten better, most of their work has been in the portal. I think he can really dominate the state of Virginia in recruiting. He did so at Penn State. He recruited that state better than anyone. So I'm a big fan of this hire. They have not gotten consistent quarterback play in recent years. So again, Willie, I think it's a really good fit, and I think he'll do very well there.
I want to ask you about 2 other teams in the ACC, because Vanderbilt and Tennessee have these early matchups. That's who they're playing. So Vanderbilt's got NC State, Tennessee's got Georgia Tech. So let's hit both of those programs. What to expect? I know we'll get into it as we get closer to those games. But how is Georgia Tech shaping up?
Yeah, they've kind of been hit by the portal bug. They lost Buster Faulkner, their offensive coordinator, who was kind of a really young and up-and-coming coordinator of Florida, took the projected starting quarterback in Aaron Philo, who hadn't played a lot behind Haynes King, but when he did, he was kind of a big play artist, a lot of big plays. So they go out and get Albert Mendoza, Fernando Mendoza's brother, who's a good athlete. 2 schools of thought there. One is like, if Mendoza's any good, why did Indiana let him go? Well, Kurt Signetti has a formula. He's gotten transfer quarterbacks who are ready to win now. He's not really he doesn't really want to develop a quarterback, so that's kind of why Alberto hit the portal there. They got a really big-time running back, Justice Haynes, transfer from Michigan, who was really, really good last year. So if you know Georgia Tech, you watch them, they're going to run the ball a lot. That's kind of their MO there. So I think they are a middle-of-the-pack ACC team. Their defense has not been good in recent years. They've kind of masked that a little bit with kind of a ball control offense. So, I think that's a game Tennessee probably should win. And NC State's another program that got hit hard by the portal. They lost Hollywood Smothers, their number one running back. They lost 2 wide receivers to the portal. But they've got a very good quarterback in C.J. Bailey, a kid who was from Miami. Miami tried to flip him at the last minute a couple years ago. He's a big kid. He's started for basically 2 full seasons. So, Vanderbilt is going to face in its first 3 games some good quarterbacks. Remember, at Austin Peay, Chris Parsons is the quarterback, former kid from Nolensville, who signed with Mississippi State. And then I forgot his name, but Delaware's quarterback was really good last year in Conference USA is back. And then C.J. Bailey at NC State's very good. So they're a consistent program. They never really at the top of the ACC, but they're never really at the bottom. So that should be a really good test for Vanderbilt in week 3.
Mitch Light of The Athletic has been our guest on DMase, Vingan, and Donick. He joins us every Thursday at 4:20 to talk college football. Mitch, as always, a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, guys. Take care.
615-737-1025. All right. It's time to give away yet another pair of tickets to the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game as Ole Miss takes on Louisville at Nissan Stadium on Sunday, September 6th. And Willy Donick has a trivia question for you Ole Miss diehards out there. So if you want those tickets, listen to Willy's question and be the first person with the correct answer at 615-737-1025.
All right, Connor Newt is going to be happy about this because this is going to be directed towards Ole Miss fans. I will return the favor to the Louisville people, and Connor will be a little grumpy about that. But
yes,
I'm not
he's going to be happy.
So that's good.
So let's give you a little Nashville Ole Miss history. Back when Eli Manning was a freshman at Ole Miss, David Cutcliffe, who was at Tennessee, had gotten the job, got Eli Manning to come to become a Rebel, following the footsteps of his dad, but also the ties to Peyton at Tennessee, Cutcliffe's history at Tennessee. They went to the Music City Bowl. But Eli Manning, his freshman year, played seldomly. He played a lot in the Music City Bowl. It was one of his first most significant contributions. They got way behind. They got beat by West Virginia in a shootout. But the question is, what was the quarterback's name that Eli Manning played behind when he was a true freshman before becoming the full-time starter the next year? So who was Eli Manning studying under his freshman year at Ole Miss? What was the quarterback's name? 615-737-1025. 615-737-1025.
First person with the correct answer wins a pair of tickets to the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game. Ole Miss versus Louisville, not Louisville. Louisville.
Or Louisville.
Or Louisville.
You're saying it right.
Louisville. I can't say it.
I say Loserville, but that's just me.
All right. We all have our ways of saying Louisville. But you can you can win a pair of tickets to see the Cardinals take on Ole Miss at Nissan Stadium.
Tom Jackson with Chris Berman? That was always from Louisville.
615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Louisville.
That was Jordan Rogers on ESPN earlier today, decrying the state of college football. I feel like I should be talking with a little bit more bass in my voice.
This is Bruno Mars, man.
I know.
He's asking questions.
DMase, Vingen and Donner.
He's asking why.
102.5 the game.
Whitney was asking how.
Why?
Huey Lewis
Do we
was
listen
asking,
to
do
102.5?
you believe?
Sabrina
How do we
Carpenter asked
listen
us
to 102.5?
when.
When do we listen
Yes.
to 102.5?
Connor has questions.
DVD.
Oh, baby.
Those shipping all your questions, Connor.
Love radio.
By the way, congratulations to Brad for having the correct answer to the trivia question.
I had questions. He had the answer.
And who is the answer to the question? What is the answer to the question?
The question was, when Eli Manning was a true freshman, much like his nephew Arch, he didn't play that much. He played behind another guy. For, of course, Arch Manning, he was playing behind Quinn Ewers. And Eli Manning, we asked you who he was playing behind when he was a freshman at Ole Miss before he came off the bench and started showing us what he was about to be at the Music City Bowl. Of course, Ole Miss is playing at Nissan Stadium for this big game coming up. We were given the tickets. The answer, Romero Miller. Really good SEC quarterback back in the day. Romero Miller. He was a Tommy Tuberville guy. And then when Tuberville left and Cutcliffe took over, Miller still had a year. He played the whole year. Eli Manning learned under him, and then was the Eli Manning era after that.
So congratulations to Brad. If you missed your chance to win those tickets today, you have one more chance this week to win those tickets tomorrow, because we will be giving away another pair of tickets to the Liberty Mutual Music City kickoff game, Ole Miss versus Louisville at Nissan Stadium, Sunday, September 6th. But also, keep in mind, if you miss out tomorrow, you'll have another opportunity next week, because Wednesday, the return of Silly Underdog Picks.
Boom.
Can't wait.
And the people's prize for week 0 of Silly Underdog Picks is a pair of tickets to this game. So if you miss out tomorrow, you will have another opportunity next week. But Silly Underdog Picks, the new season starts Wednesday. Derek Mason will look to defend his crown.
No doubt.
Against me.
No doubt.
Hal Gill. And Chris Sanders.
No doubt. I'm
also,
coming back.
Also Chris Sanders.
Yeah. Can we get away from this? And I know I said this last year, and I'm going to keep on bringing it up. Can we get away from this week 0 stuff?
What's wrong with it?
0 means nothing. When does 0 actually mean something? Like, I don't know when we start making nothing something. 0 means nothing's going on at all. If somebody give you 0 of something, they gave you nothing. Right or wrong?
I agree.
This whole week 0, stop. I know it's not you.
Let's start over. And let's make the first week of play.
Exactly.
Week 1.
Why can't we just make that week 1? What are you saying to
where
the
do we
other
go
teams?
down that road?
Y'all ain't
reset.
worth.
Hit the reset.
Y'all are not worth us giving y'all an actual number.
But here's the problem. We can't say week 1 of Silly Underdog Picks starting with week 0 of college football.
It's confusing.
I get that, but
So
let's
it's gotta
get
be
away
week
from
0.
period. Let's just the Silly Underdogs start whenever. When does it start? Next week?
A week from yesterday.
Yeah. Just say that. Don't say week 0.
Okay.
Don't even mention week 0. Don't even fix your lips to say week 0.
The start.
Don't even.
Don't even no Z word.
Don't even say that.
The commencement of Silly Underdog Picks.
There we go. I like that better.
Yeah.
Next Wednesday. Derek Mason, myself, Hal Gill, Chris Sanders, vying for the crown. I have finished in second place in each of my first 2 years in the competition. I want to win. I don't want to be the bridesmaid anymore, but we'll get to that next
You
week.
was just the first loser. Don't worry about it.
Whatever. At least Chris Sanders finished in last year by a wide margin if memory serves. We love you, Chris. Anyway, we heard from Jordan Rogers in that clip. College football has completely lost all common sense. Look, I don't care what any sort of lawsuit says, and I'm not a fancy pants lawyer or anything like that. But if you are in an NFL training camp, you should not be able to go back to college
For a pay raise.
For a pay raise. Think about this. Just think about it for a moment. There are players in NFL training camps right now who want to go back to college for more money. Just think about that for a moment.
It's a bizarro world.
It boggles the mind. We have completely lost the plot.
It's these judges don't know what's going on. It's the judges are making these decisions and they have big ramifications. And now we're in this world where it's backwards.
I don't get it. And to me, it's not about the money part. It's just, listen, you have basically graduated from college football. You are at a NFL camp. You are doing grown folk things. You are working with other grown folks. You are you have on an NFL helmet, the logo. You are on a roster. Why do you want to go back to college after that?
But Jordan Rodgers made the point. Your choices are you go to a practice squad where it's week to week.
I get that.
You get paid, but you could get cut anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, I guess, is anything guaranteed in college?
No.
This is nebulous world of NIL, but in theory, you're not going to get cut.
Mm-hmm.
If you're any good, you're going to get double the money guaranteed.
Listen, again, it's not about the money. So I know
in the eye and say you're crazy for doing that.
I understand what Jordan Rodgers is saying, and you echoing that. I get that part. But listen, you left college. It ain't like you left college, went home, couldn't find a job, like just a regular job. So you was like, man, you know what? I hadn't been at a camp. Let me just go back. I can get another degree. Let me go back to college. But no, you were in the actual camp. Like, you're in camp. You're on the roster. They're talking about you. I don't know where you at as far as the depth chart, but you are doing NFL professional things.
You're playing the preseason games.
Yes, and then now you want to go back to college? Man, those judges should be slapped in the back of the neck.
I agree. The judges,
all of them.
All these judges that study the law, I don't understand the lack of common sense. By this token, okay, the premise is that the class of 2022 is the first group that is not under the cut of getting the 5 years to play 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's unfair to the 2020. Well, by that token, isn't it unfair to all of us? DMase and I would be in this club. We were only allowed to play 4 years. Does that mean we should go back to a judge and say, we deserve our 5th year? Because these guys, now everybody today gets 5 years. Why don't we get 5 years? Connor made a fun reference of the character who hangs out at your high school, who used to play for the team, that would love to go back in there and play another year. Like he peaked in high school. Like we all know those guys right there at every. It's a movie character. They're at every.
It's
school.
Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused.
right.
Is what it is.
But like that gives life to all these guys. Like what if you could do that in high school? Say, hey, they just graduated the 5th year of high school. We could all go back to high school. Uncle Rico.
Yeah,
perfect.
Uncle Rico, perfect example. He could have went back,
and he could throw.
Exactly. Across the mountain.
He could throw across the mountain. He was good. But I mean, it's got to. Sometimes life is tough, right? Sometimes the rules change after you leave. That's okay. We move on. You move forward. You can't stay in college forever. It's ridiculous. Why are all these judges agreeing on this?
And it's state by state. It's just like, man, come on. Y'all are making a mockery of, I guess their point is the judge is like, listen, y'all couldn't get this, situated. So I'm just gonna, if they want to come back, so be it. Come back. It's almost like you're making a mockery of the whole situation by you went that not only were, was a judge in Texas Tech in Texas going to allow Texas Tech quarterback to play.
Brendan Sorsby.
Now they went even further. Oh, if you got another year, even if you are in a camp, you can go back. That's making a mockery of the whole thing because there's no rules.
And it's almost, it might be more crazy in basketball because the same principle is going on.
Well, it happened at Alabama,
right?
With the big center.
Well, routinely, this is where basketball is different. There are great players in Europe. There are great players outside of the States who have been basically playing in their professional league at that age. They come over and they can play. Nobody really says anything because we don't know what the pro leagues are over in Turkey or what Italy, wherever they get the guys. But if they played in the NBA G League, oh wait a minute, you can't come back from the NBA because the letters NBA are in there. When the reality is the equivalent is happening with the European players, the G League equivalent over in Europe, about the same level. But here it's like the same thing. It's like it doesn't compute to all of us to say you've been playing in an NFL training camp and yet you could walk back over to your college campus and make more money and play. It just doesn't add up. Like somewhere in there's got to be, these are the rules. Everybody understands the rules, and this is how life is. Sometimes it's not fair. But this is the ultimate have your cake and eat it too. Why don't we just take the class of 2021? They only got to play for 4 years.
Yeah.
Why don't they find a judge that says, hey, you guys can get a fifth year, go on back.
Yeah, go.
Go on back. Why
You
not?
was at the NFL training camp.
And
Don't
then
worry
the class
about
of 2020 says, hey, they did it for 2022 and 2021. Why not us? And then keep going back until you get to 93, and then I'll have my fifth year.
Did you ever imagine we would live in a world where a football player would willingly leave the NFL to go back to college?
No, I didn't think
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine going back in a time machine and floating this out there and say, hey, I just came from the year 2026. You know what's going on? Guys are deciding whether they want to stay in the NFL or go back to college and play another year.
There was a time
I would have never thought that.
There was a time when college players sued to become professionals, right?
Yes.
Now we live in a world where professionals are suing to go back to college.
Yes.
It's just a backwards world. The upside down world.
615-737-1025. We'll take your reaction to whatever the hell is going on in college sports. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, the Tennessee Titans will host the Seattle Seahawks in a joint practice tomorrow morning. And there is one thing, well, there are many things that Cam Ward needs to improve on. But I saw a really enlightening thread about quarterback play in general that I want to discuss in the context of Cam Ward. Coming up next, 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home with a $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and Connor Newt here with you. Tomorrow morning, we all will be at the Tennessee Titans practice, where they will host the defending Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Then the two teams will play in the preseason on Sunday night. I believe a nationally televised primetime game. Oh, my God. Where's our guy Mike North? You can't draft your way into primetime. Well, the Titans get a primetime game in the preseason. But it's primetime, and it's Sunday night. So congratulations to the Tennessee Titans. You did it. You did it.
Do you think Mike North is disappointed that maybe his phone didn't ring as much as it did before?
I kind of miss Mike North. I love that clip we played last year.
Boy, did we bash him.
Yeah.
You can't draft your way into primetime. Well, they do get a preseason primetime game. Oh, wow. Man. Oh, man. That's a DVD classic. But earlier we were talking about the Seattle Seahawks. They have a ferocious pass rush, a four-man rush, as Willy Donick noted earlier in the program. And although the Seattle Seahawks won't be able to hit Cam Ward tomorrow, they can put a lot of pressure on Cam Ward. And one thing that Cam Ward desperately needs to do this season, among other things, is cut down on the number of sacks he takes. And to be fair, he did get better at it over the course of the season, but he got hit quite a bit. And last night, I saw this thread from Ryan Paganetti, a Super Bowl winning NFL strategy and analytics coach, formerly of the Eagles, Jaguars, and Raiders. And he wrote, quote, anyone arguing that sack rate is not heavily tied to the quarterback is fighting a losing proposition. Among quarterbacks with at least 4,500 combined regular season and postseason pass attempts, the 5 lowest combined sack rates in NFL history belong to Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and Patrick Mahomes. Now, here's what Paganetti did that was instructive. He looked at what happened to those quarterbacks' franchises before, during, and after their tenures from a sack rate standpoint. Let's use Peyton Manning, good old Tennessee boy. Let's use Peyton Manning as an example. And I will read from Paganetti's post. Peyton Manning, Indianapolis, 1997 Colts, a sack rate of 10.6%. Rookie Peyton the following year, 3.7%. 2010 Peyton, 2.3%. 2011 Colts without Peyton, 6.2%. 2012 Andrew Luck, 6.1%. In Denver, the 2011 Broncos, 8.9%. Peyton arrives in 2012, 3.5%. 2015 Peyton, 4.6%. 2016 first season after retirement, 6.6%.
So it all comes back to the same thing, that it's the one that Sean Payton, the stat that Sean Payton trumpeted last year and used to select Bo Nix with the draft pick, because Bo Nix excelled in this in college. He said sacks are a quarterback stat, not an O-line stat. And that had all of us here, our antenna went up because of how bad the Titans offensive line has been, and they've had a big, big problem with sacks. But I had never thought of it that way. But when you think about Peyton Manning and Dan Marino, the quick release, Drew Brees, they understood the clock. They understood when they had to get rid of the ball. And when they threw the ball away, I guess on occasion they threw interceptions, but they knew how to effectively kill a play without taking a sack. And I think that needs to be on our mind this year going forward. We know, and the people that do this, Ryan Paganetti, Jason Kelsey, who followed this up, Sean Payton, these guys know that the offensive line is important. Jason Kelsey was an offensive lineman. He knows that they have something to do with whether the quarterback gets sacked, but the number of sacks has more to do with the quarterback than the offensive line. I think that's a big breakthrough. Baseball, the money ball. One of the things that they discovered in the money ball for the A's was walks, a player that draws a lot of walks.
He gets on base.
Right. Thank you, Jonah Hill. He's the guy that has that line. Brad
Yes.
Pitt says, what does he do?
He gets on base.
And so they looked at walks, and they determined that the batter and not the pitcher has to do a lot more with walks. When we were all taught growing up, hey, don't walk anybody when you're pitching. But batters who know the strike zone, batters that foul pitches off, they draw more walks. That was underappreciated for a long time. So I'm going to watch Cam Ward through that lens now because of this breakthrough in stats.
By the way, Cam Ward, 55 sacks.
Most in the league.
Tied for first with his week 1 opponent, Geno Smith. 55 sacks apiece taken last season.
This is why, I mean, and I'm not disputing the numbers because obviously, they've been, they did what they needed to do as far as, getting the numbers and doing the work. But it's hard to think that or believe that when what you see on the field it's like, yeah, I know Cam needs to process faster, but the offensive line isn't good. The receivers aren't getting off a press. The running game, it's solid, but nothing that's going to scare your opponents each and every week. So it's hard to sort of reconcile that with the numbers because like Kelsey, he understands from an offensive line standpoint how much, he is a contributor to possibly the quarterback getting sacked. He can basically determine that with every play because he knows exactly what he's doing and if he gets beat or if he doesn't. I look at it from a receiver standpoint. If I get open quicker, he has an opportunity to hit me quicker. If I can't get off a press, now he has to sort of scan the field and scan. That's where, to me, it's now up to Cam. And I've said this before. He has to get better at processing the field. Everybody has a hand in this, but sort of this is the new thing because what was said by Peyton, the quarterbacks, it's a quarterback stat. Yeah, it is a quarterback stat. I get that. But if you're watching the game and you see all these things happening, it ain't only just the quarterback, but now since Peyton said it, now it's, we're going to highlight the quarterback when all along we've been, and we probably were not right or all the way right. That, we looked at the offensive line, it's not good. So but he's going to get, they get pushed into the quarterback. They don't give him enough time to throw the ball. So I think all of it has its place in football. Again, the numbers are the numbers, and I'm not disputing those facts. What I'm saying when I'm watching a game, it's more, to me, it's more than just, because what if Cam processes it fast enough and nobody's open and it's like, okay.
There's no question that the offensive line has something to do with it. I don't think anybody's disputing that. But we were taught, I think growing up, we were conditioned that it was all on the offensive line.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
And I said maybe we were thinking about it, we were looking at it wrong.
I think now that balance is important to say that, hey, regardless of the offensive line, and that's what these numbers do.
Yes.
Adam just reeled them all off. I'm sure when you're driving along, you're like trying to follow Adam. But it was basically if you take the same offensive line right before and right after that, these quarterbacks who were elite at not getting sacked, there you see a difference.
But they didn't say whether the offensive line changed. They didn't say
it doesn't.
whether.
We'll give you another example.
Sure there were some that changed.
We'll give you another example. Tom Brady was one of the quarterbacks listed with a career sack rate
4.42%.
Very impressive. Brady in 2019 with the Patriots, 4.2%. The 2020 Patriots, after Brady left for Tampa Bay, 7.8%.
And that would have been Mac Jones.
Exactly, a rookie underneath
or maybe it was Cam Newton. I can't remember, but
it was Mac. Cam Newton was there.
Yeah.
How about this? Staying on Brady, Tampa Bay, Jameis Winston in 2019, 7%. Brady's tenure in Tampa Bay, 3.1%. Baker Mayfield through the first 3 years in Tampa Bay, 6.5%.
Here's another, I think, misconception. It doesn't have, it's not directly correlated with how mobile the quarterback is. Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, those guys were not running. They were not, they weren't sitting ducks because they couldn't move, but they knew how to maneuver in the pocket. They knew how to get rid of the ball.
Mahomes a little bit more nimble
than
those four.
But so Cam Ward got sacked as many times as anybody in the league other than Geno Smith.
He had a sack rate of 9.24%
Right,
last season.
That was the 6th highest. Number 5 was, of all people, Jackson Dart, who is noted for one of the best things he does. He's mobile. He didn't avoid getting sacked. So
getting evaluated for concussions. That was
he probably led the league in that. He was up there. But my point is, you see, so let's go to the other end. Who were the best quarterbacks last year at not getting sacked? Bo Nix, who's very mobile, always on the move. That's a strength. And Matthew Stafford, who is much more like Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, a pure pocket guy. But those guys know how to not get sacked. So it is a skill avoiding sacks, regardless of your offensive line. I think that is something that I feel like I've learned through this study, which I wouldn't have thought about before when I was watching football 5-10 years ago.
Some guys just have this innate ability to sort of get out of harm's way. And we know who those quarterbacks are. You can start with, Patrick Mahomes and go to some other quarterbacks, whether it's Lamar or, any one of these other quarterbacks. But when you're trying to evaluate that particular thing with a quarterback, every quarterback is different. Every situation is different. Cam does need to get better with processing what he's seen, but it's not just on Cam to process it. It's on the guys in front of him to block well. When you're talking about Drew Brees and those guys, and Brady and Manning, these are guys that perfected these were high processing individuals. That's why I said Brock Purdy. Where's Brock Purdy numbers? I wonder where that is.
He does not get sacked.
Because
among the best.
He processes so fast. That's where Cam. So when
Brock Purdy had the best pressure to sack rate in the NFL last season, according to Pro Football.
So when Blake Bedingfield says he needs to be more like Brock Purdy, that's not an insult. Actually, that's a compliment, because if you can process like Brock Purdy, you will minimize the sacks that you're going to get.
People take it as an insult because Ward and Purdy from draft slot status are on completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Right. No, you're
number one overall pick and Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
But processing is processing, whether you're the first pick or the last pick.
But we would agree that Cam, to be effective with his skill set, has got to cut that number down.
Yes, he has to.
Yes.
And I think him learning the offense, that will allow him to process it a lot faster, knowing where your guys are going to be within the offense. Right now, I'm sure he doesn't know the offense the way he wants to. He may come out and say, I know it, but not to a point where, because it's already showed in the first game, not to a point where you got to process it quickly without getting sacked. To avoid the sack.
Let's go back to the preseason game last week, which, by the way, was only 1 week ago. It feels like it was a month ago. The play we talked about, the play a lot of people seized upon when criticizing Cam Ward, the intentional grounding play. That was a play where he probably just should have, for lack of a better phrase, given up on the play. He didn't have anybody open, but he tried to do a little bit too much. He went backwards. He was about to be sacked. He threw the ball away. He was called for intentional grounding. Those are the sorts of plays that get him in trouble.
You're absolutely right.
He needs to cut down
on. He needs to cut down on those plays. But also what needs to happen in front of him is those guys need to do a better job at doing their job. Because you're right. There was a point where he should have processed that quickly and thirded it, but he didn't. Okay, so how do we get him to do that? But then also, how do we get the guys up front to make sure that as soon as he fake and getting his drop, there's not a guy in his face? But Cam does. If you know the whole play and know what's going on, in a situation like that, I just got to dirt it, or I have because he had an outlet, which was Spears to your left, but he couldn't see it because he didn't process it fast enough.
615-737-1025. We will continue this conversation coming up next. Cam Ward absolutely has to cut down on the number of sacks he takes this season. Some really enlightening stuff from former NFL analytics coach Ryan Paganetti. We'll review what we learned and continue the conversation coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingen, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingen and Donick. 102.5 The Game.
This was you have a walk-up song?
The Jackson 5.
Yes.
This wouldn't be what you would think a current-day college player would have as walk-up song, but one of the seniors on the Denison team, this was his walk-up song. Very unique.
Sick. I love that.
Jackson
cool.
5.
Willie, what was your walk-up song?
Folks, give it up for
I
Jackson
played
5.
before we got to choose the walk-up song. Right before.
What would have been your walk-up
Why
song?
can't we be friends?
No.
Why can't we be friends?
Well, now it's got to be my theme song for the Underdogs, right?
Yes.
Willie D.
Yeah.
Willie Dynamite.
Which you will hear next Wednesday.
Yes.
When the commencement.
Thank you. Oh,
the start, the beginning.
I was about to stick you with this pen.
Not the week 0. Not the week 0.
I told you don't even say that word. Don't even say
I
that
said
word.
not the week 0.
You get shocked. Yeah,
exactly.
DMase doesn't like that number because it has no depth to it.
Exactly.
The depth. Derek's going to show up here with a cattle prod tomorrow if I start saying week 0. But we're talking about an interesting study done by Ryan Paganetti, a Super Bowl winning NFL strategy and analytics coach. He worked with the Eagles, Jags, and Raiders. He posted this, I believe, last night. Anyone arguing that sack rate is not heavily tied to the quarterback is fighting a losing proposition. Sack rate does not belong solely to the offensive line. Quarterback play is often the biggest variable. He uses a ton of examples. It's hard to follow along when you're in the car with all of these numbers, so I will spare you some of them. But we're talking about Cam Ward, who last season had a sack rate of more than 9%, which was one of the worst totals in the NFL. According to Pro Football Focus, Ward had a 23.9% pressure to sack percentage, which was among the lowest among qualified quarterbacks. For kicks and giggles, here were the top 5 quarterbacks in pressure to sack rate last season. Lowest pressure to sack rate. Brock Purdy, number 1. Bo Nix, number 2. Caleb Williams, number 3. Jordan Love, number 4. Matthew Stafford, number 5. Are there any commonalities, any similarities you see among those 5 quarterbacks? Purdy, Nix, Williams, Love, and Stafford, I guess, would be the outlier in terms of his mobility.
I think they all do it a slightly different way. Would you say?
I think they do. I think all of them.
It goes back to a skill. It's not one thing. But it is a skill of a clock and the ability to say, I'm not going to let you sack me. There are quarterbacks that get sacked a lot that are still really good.
Yeah. Who are the coordinators?
Purdy is
Shanahan. Yeah.
Nix is Peyton. Williams is Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Love is LaFleur, I assume. Stafford is McVay.
So you're talking about 5
guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
High. And not to
Maybe
say
that's
that
the common thread.
Brian Daboll isn't a good coordinator, but those guys are high. People consider those high-end coordinators. So it seems like it's more on the coordinator than anything. The quarterback has the process, but you have to make sure you know who your quarterback is.
Well,
and don't put him in positions and that's why
one of the quarterbacks who had a higher sack rate last season, one of the few quarterbacks who had a higher sack rate last season than Cam Ward was Jackson Dart, who was coached by, at least at the beginning, Brian Daboll.
Yes. So it all depends on, in Brian Daboll's offense I'm sure it's different from those 5 guys.
Well, we talked so much about how much Daboll relies on his quarterbacks to run.
Those offenses don't. Those offenses, other than, I say, Bo Nix, but they like to put Bo Nix on the move.
Yes, Bo Nix likes to get
Ben Johnson isn't asking Caleb, well, he's trying to dial that down. And I think he's done a good job, at least last year.
So here's the formula that Sean Payton came up with to evaluate quarterbacks. He looked at the rate of negative plays against a quarterback's total dropbacks, percentage of sacks, fumbles, interceptions, then added them together for the average. Like a golf score, lower is better. Bo Nix, coming out of Oregon, 878 attempts, 10 sacks, 0 fumbles, 10 interceptions, a completion percentage of 74.8, average 2.3.
How many times did Cam Ward get sacked in college?
That's a good question. I feel like we tried to do this last year. We tried to do it. We could probably try to do it again. quickly.
I think you found the numbers last year, Adam.
I could do it again.
You mean you don't have those just like
no?
queued
I don't
up
have
right
them lying around. But
we might need to test out the page turning music, the
Yes.
interlude, as Adam looks these up.
So Drake May, I believe this was his last year in college, had an average of 10.5 when you took the sacks and the fumbles and the interceptions. So the lower the average, the better. And remember how many people were surprised by Bo Nix going where he did in the draft. But Sean Payton said, this kid doesn't turn over the ball. He doesn't put himself in position to get sacked. He makes very few negative plays. And Bo Nix has, so far, had a really solid start to his NFL career.
Yeah, I think those things that Sean Payton mentioned early on has worked out in Bo Nix's benefit. But he went in knowing who he was drafting and knowing that he would fit the type of offense that he wanted to run with this young quarterback. This isn't the Sean Payton offense so much so that he had with Drew Brees, because Drew Brees is a totally different quarterback than what Bo Nix. You see Bo Nix on the move a lot more than you ever saw Drew Brees.
For sure.
That is true.
And another note about Cam Ward and his tendency to get himself in trouble. Pro Football Focus. Last season, the Titans allowed 206 total quarterback pressures. Cam Ward was at fault, according to PFF, for 43 of the 206, a percentage of 20.9%, which ranked 33rd out of 43 qualified quarterbacks.
In other words, by him holding the ball, so he had enough time, but held the ball, and that's when the pressure got to him?
That could be an example. He was charged with 43 of the 206 pressures the Titans allowed last season. So a fifth of the pressures Cam Ward faced were his fault. According to Pro Football Focus, that percentage ranked 33rd out of 43.
And I think, too, that should be coupled with what we've pointed out, what happens on those plays, because the perception, at least in college, because you can look at the highlight films, at Miami, the extension of plays was leading to big plays for Miami. That was not the case last year. He graded very low in plays where he extended the play and then threw the ball, right? It did not lead to a lot of explosive plays, successful plays.
No, not at least last year.
Not last year.
Yeah, last year didn't. And hopefully he doesn't have to, do those things that he did last year, this year. Hopefully, he learns his offense to a point where he's not the one consistently or more times than not, based upon the numbers, putting himself in harm's way when we're discussing the sack. So if he, if they are going to get better at this particular in this particular category, yes, it's going to have a part of it's going to have to be Cam Ward getting rid of the ball a lot sooner, which means he needs to know the offense like the back of his hand so he can process it a lot faster.
His final season at Miami, according to PFF, Cam Ward had a pressure to sack ratio of 16.7%. Last season with the Titans, it was around 24%.
But for a dominant college player, 16% would be a little high, right?
Based upon what numbers?
Well,
the Bo Nix numbers?
Bo Nix was 10%, you said?
I'll have to look up Bo Nix's.
You looked up a couple that were much lower than 16. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine, too, that Cam Ward was, during that time, he was effective at those extension plays that might have at times resulted in a sack, but oftentimes he turned it into something big.
One texter says, this feels like the UC Soros conversation y'all had on perception, LOL. And I think Cam Ward, in a lot of ways, qualifies for the same conversation. We talked about, for those who aren't familiar with what the texter is referencing, we had a conversation near the end of the Predator season about UC Soros having what I call a perception problem. That there seems to be this idea that he is just a terrible goaltender, despite the fact that there are so many things telling you that, yes, he hasn't been as good as he was a few years ago, but he's not as bad as everybody thinks he is. And
right. And we've also tried to quantify how much is the environment around him,
which
as
is
opposed
sort
to
of what we're talking about with
what's on him.
That was the point Derek was making about Cam Ward. How much is the environment around Cam Ward responsible for those high sack rate numbers, those pressure numbers? Because the offensive line was a mess. The weapons around him weren't great. So that's a major conversation we had with Cam Ward last season, which was how many quarterbacks could have succeeded in the Titans environment, similar to how could UC Soros have great numbers behind a Predators team defense that wasn't very good. So there are some similarities between the two conversations, to be sure.
And some of it is the responsibility of the quarterback, and some of it is the responsibility of the goalie. And that's what some of these numbers are setting out to do, is trying to make that separation, as hard as it is in sports that are so fast and involving so many people at one time. It's much harder to do it in those sports than it is baseball, where it's pitcher versus batter.
It will be interesting tomorrow when the Titans host the Seahawks in a joint practice. It will be interesting to see the difference between Cam Ward and Sam Darnold. Just Sam Darnold was in a similar position to Cam Ward. We have detailed this story many times. A high draft pick who struggled, needed to go to multiple places in order to find his game. And last season, he reached the apex of his profession. He led a team to the Super Bowl. So it will be interesting to see Darnold operate in person versus what we've seen from Cam Ward in person. I'm looking forward to that difference tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a quarterback. I mean, this is what I'm expecting to see. I hope, and my expectation doesn't mean that, Cam, I don't think he's going to practice well or whatnot. But the expectation is, that Darnold should look a lot different from Cam Ward. He's been in the NFL for a long time. He's been to the Super Bowl. He led his team to a Super Bowl win. So the way he looks, the way they operate may look different from how Cam looks and operates. So that's going to be a given. Now, that doesn't mean that Cam's going to be, it's just going to be a stark difference, but who's a little bit further along than the other.
I wonder too, tomorrow, the Seahawks are the defending champs. I'm sure they're going to go out and they're going to look good at times, but it's not a whole lot riding on whether they play well tomorrow. I feel like from the Titans standpoint, there's probably a little bit more urgency to look good. Like they're trying to establish an identity. They're trying to get their quarterback to the next level. They're trying to establish a new system on offense, a new system on defense. So it probably means more to tomorrow, but I think that's in the backdrop.
You're saying it's going to mean more to Seattle?
No. I think if the
Titans.
Seahawks go out and get and the Titans get the better of them,
who cares?
Nobody in their fan base is going to worry about it too much. As the defending
well,
champs.
They just won a Super Bowl, so nobody's too worried.
Yeah.
You still got Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith and Jigba. So,
but if the Seahawks get the best of the Titans tomorrow, and the Titans don't look good for a second straight week after a shaky performance in the opener, what the reaction is going to be. It's not going to be, well, that was the Super Bowl champion. Of course, they didn't look very good. Nobody's going to want to hear that.
You just can't look bad.
Is there a possibility to look bad tomorrow?
Hold your own. That is the expectation. Hold your own.
You cannot look good, but
don't
you
look
can't,
like you're playing in two different leagues.
There's a you just don't look good as a team right now. And then there's you look bad. Like looking bad means nothing is going right. Nothing is going right. Everything you do, you just seem like 2 or 3 steps behind your opponent. I don't want them to look bad. I want them to look great, obviously, but I just don't want I don't want the same talk to be what we were talking about coming out of San Francisco. The practice before the game and then actually the game. Well, 2 days before the game and then actual game. I don't want that to be the talk coming out of the practice with Seattle and then the game on Sunday.
Hold your own. Look, we dissect these practices so much, and I have joked about the breathless reporting of NFL training camp practices because it's so much different than what I did as a hockey beat reporter. You don't break down hockey practice or hockey training camp practice the way you do an NFL practice. And I understand why. But these joint practices, they mean something because you're going up against other competition. And this is another litmus test for the Tennessee Titans. As I said, just hold your own. Look like you belong on the same playing field as the Seattle Seahawks. You don't have to overpower the Seahawks. You don't have to, quote unquote, win the practice. But just don't look like you play in the CFL or the UFL while the Seahawks play in the NFL. That would be my recommendation. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans. They practice tomorrow against the Seahawks. We'll all be out there. Looking forward to it. We wrap up the show next with a new segment. What are we doing? That's the name of the segment, by the way. Also, what are we doing? You'll find out coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willy Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. DMase, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. We will be out at Titans practice tomorrow, a joint practice with the Seattle Seahawks. But we wrap up the show with a new segment I'm calling, What Are We Doing? You know, let's wrap up the show by getting something off of our chests. And Willie has come to the table with What Are We Doing? So, Willie, I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. I'm also curious, like, do we have to say it like that or different? Like, I feel like depending on what city you're from, where you were brought up, like, you could say, what are we doing? In a lot of different, like, I'm thinking of New York. I'm like, what are you doing? What are we doing? And then, like, the Southern, like, what are y'all doing?
What are y'all doing? What are you doing?
So
All
here's
in
mine.
one. What are you doing?
Here's mine for today. And Adam, we frequent the same workout place.
We
so
do.
I don't want to make it all about this place because this is not a problem for everybody. But there are times, every workout facility is different. There are some that have like so many people working out at the same time and a limited amount of machines. And then there are others that are bigger and this is not an issue. But there are most places, there are certain machines that there aren't a lot of the same machine, but they're pretty popular machines. This happens at our establishment. So what are you doing is you got to have some awareness of when you're on a machine that is a coveted machine and you know there's people there and they want to use that machine. Like, I'm not above kind of hovering around a little bit saying, let's get moving, man. Let's get moving. Like, I usually am not the guy go, you got any more sets? How many more sets you got? Like, I don't like that guy either, right? But you need to have an awareness. But these are the people that are the what are you doing? They get on the one machine that they know is popular, and a lot of people are there, they want to work out. But they got their backpack, and they got the water bottle. They set it there. And then let me get my phone out between sets, and I got to read my phone a little bit here. They set up shop there for like 15 minutes. Like, dude, move.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Move to your next exercise. Be aware. Be efficient. People want to use it. It's not that the backpack is what really gets me. You throw the backpack down. You got your water bottle. You're setting up a little office here. No.
Yeah, I get it, Willie. I mean,
rest between sets. I get it. I mean, take 5-7 minutes, whatever. Move on. Get your sets. Get your 3 sets.
You know, rest about 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Get back at it. Don't rest 2-3 minutes. I don't need you to be resting.
Have we run across the same thing with like a treadmill? Like, you know, if there's people waiting on the treadmill, you don't need to be walking and cooling, having a cool down on the treadmill.
Willie,
get going. Get out of there. Move on.
Willie, it is advised that you just don't get off the treadmill when you finish running hard. Kind of warm it down. Right. Warm it down a little bit. Yeah.
But you can do it off the treadmill and just walk around the joint.
Yeah. But you got to walk up to him and say, What are you doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Like, come on.
Let's move it.
Got to go. I like that.
Like at our place, Adam, at the East Y, there is one machine in the whole workout thing that has the inner thigh, outer thigh, abductor, adductor.
Yep, I'm aware of this.
There's only one machine?
Only one. Gosh, now, you know, we could go the what are you doing could be, hey, we can go to the management and say, can we get another?
What are you doing?
Machine?
You need another machine.
Can we get another one? But until that time, the people that get on there don't have your backpack and your phone and your water bottle and just having a nice lounge there. We got to get, the other day I went in there, I was looking, I wanted that machine, but I know that I got to get it when it's there because somebody's going to jump on there. I walked down the hall, got a little water. I went down and did another exercise, different muscle group, came back, and the same guy was on the same machine. I was like, come on, keep it moving.
You know what? I have thought about this long and hard because having your phone in your workout space, that makes things just it makes for a lot of people it slows things down tremendously.
You can see a text or something that it pulls you away. You don't realize how long you've been looking at your phone.
My thing is,
I've been guilty of that.
Put your phone up. Boom. There's a lock space. Boom. Right inside of the workout place, lock space. Boom. Boom. Put your phone in there. Get your workout in. Get it out.
But what about your tunes?
You don't need tunes.
I need tunes.
We're playing tunes. We're playing tunes for you.
What if I don't like the tunes?
Just pump it up. Just get your pump on, man. But the phones slow people down.
Yes, it does. The phones definitely slow down.
So if you're just listening to music, that's great. But if you're sitting there and you're about to read text and going through Instagram, it's like, no, get your workout in. That's why I like classes, because it's like you can't bring your phone in. Just get your workout in and get it over with.
You'll get more out of it.
Exactly.
That way, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what are we doing, people?
But I just say have an awareness of how many people would like to use that machine. How many other machines are there people waiting before you just set up shop and have a little office going for about a half hour on the same muscle group? Come on, people. Keep it moving. What are we doing?
Is it wrong that I dislike when someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, can I work in with you?"
Yeah. I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy.
You can wait until I'm done.
You don't like that guy?
No,
I'm not down with that guy.
No, you can wait until I'm done.
That's what headphones are for.
If somebody like,
but even if you're wearing the headphones, they do the motion where they start talking to you, and here's a.
Can I work in?
Here's a.
How
word.
many more sets
That's
you got?
when you pretend you don't know English.
Here's a word: gesticulating. They know you've got your headphones in, but they start talking with their hands, and you're like, what is this person doing? And then you make the mistake of taking out the earbud, and they're like, "Could I work in with you?" No, you can wait until I'm done.
I will never ask anyone, "Can I work in with them?" But if somebody was to ask me, I mean, it's like, okay, good, dude, get a set in. Just don't be long. Get a set in. Wipe it down, because I don't want to come behind you and have to wipe it down. Wipe it down and let me get my set in. Because your work is like, okay, one, you go, then I go. You go, then I go. We both get out of here.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. But I will never ask anyone, "Hey, can I get in?" I don't want, I'm not going to ask you that. But I don't mind if somebody said that. But again, don't be sweating all over the thing. Clean it off afterwards. Man.
Yes. I too have my run-ins with fellow gym goers at our shared
fellow East Siders.
Yes.
Y'all something
all in all,
it's
a very well run operation. I want to make that clear. I don't dislike God. I'm not defecting or anything.
Y'all need some more machines, man.
We do need a couple more.
Also, one other thing.
In a couple of key areas.
One other why related thing. Mm-hmm. So the pool is still open. There's a really good pool at the East Y.
Yeah.
Really good pool. My son loves going to the pool. And now that school is back, there aren't as many open swim days as there was during the summer. And I think the pool closes probably after Labor Day. 2 days in a row last week. Remember, limited days to go to the pool. 2 days in a row, the pool had to be shut down because on one day, someone threw up in the pool. Ooh. And then on the second day, someone pooped in the pool.
Oh, man. Ooh. A real life Caddyshack.
Yes, very much
so.
Even though that was a hoax, the Caddyshack.
Yes.
It was actually a candy bar.
It was a Baby Ruth.
Yeah, Baby Ruth.
But
you sure this was not a Baby Ruth? You pretty sure?
Why don't you swim down there and find out?
We need to call Carl.
I saw the lifeguard.
Carl
the lifeguard running up the stairs with the red hazmat bag. So I clearly was not a Baby Ruth.
But Carl in Caddyshack did have the hazmat suit on.
And look, I know kids.
They drain the pool.
I know kids. They're learning their bodies. They don't know when to go. But don't poop in the pool, guys. Just don't do it. Especially you adults. Please don't poop in the pool.
Adults still.
If that was an adult, we really have a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, if that was an adult, we really have a problem there, buddy.
Yes, but 2 pool days just, wiped out.
So Arlo can't get to go anymore.
Well,
or will he be able to go before
days are numbered?
Down?
There are some weekends left, so he'll still be able to go. But the time was shortened this past weekend because people couldn't keep their bodily fluids inside their body when they were in the pool.
Eastside Wise tripping, man. What's up with that, man? What are you doing?
We got issues.
What are we doing, Eastside Wise?
We're a funky bunch over there.
That y'all are.
Connor Newt, what's coming up on the 6th?
Fake PK is going to join the show. Parker Kelly.
The other PK.
Yeah, the other one.
PK Jr.
Don't even give him that credit. He's the fake PK. We're going to talk about previewing what's going on tomorrow and this weekend with the Titans and the Seahawks. A little bit of college football flavor in there as well. And, of course, your favorite game.
Where are they now?
Yes, sir.
Hot diggity. Parker Kelly will be joining us tomorrow on the program as our producer because Connor Newt, you will be filling in for Jake Lyman on Next Man Up tomorrow morning from 9 to noon. We will all be out at the Titans-Seahawks joint practice tomorrow. We will give you our analysis, our findings tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Hopefully the Titans don't stink up the joint, but you never know with the Tennessee Titans. They are capable of stinking things up. But have a wonderful rest of your day. We will talk to you tomorrow at 3.
Be loving your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music? Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. We're back on these airwaves tomorrow on 102.5 The Game, discussing what we saw at Titans practice against the Seattle Seahawks. So as I always say, we're going to be talking in.
You're going to be listening.
The Six is next. Peace.
In my experience,